I'm in touch with my national president. We are holding our own meeting this evening. And then I'm telling you that we are not going to go by this charade. We are not going to go by this show of incompetence and gross disrespect to other unions for constituting organized labor. Clearly, they came with an agenda. Look, there are so many things that are being said about the leadership of organized labor and the kinds of things that happened here. Okay, first is those bogus charges and allegations. I mean, otherwise, if you want to meet with organized labor, why do you come with a prepared speech? In the meeting, we were not. I mean, I made my first point. Others, a few people spoke, and if you are speaking, then the chairman gets up and says he doesn't want you to talk. And so, if you want to make further suggestions, we didn't finish the meeting, and they called you guys to be to join the meeting. The 16 public universities have all voted unanimously and overwhelmingly to say that they want to go on an industrial action. And we don't care about what disorganized labor wants to do.
The president has not said anything. We had a discussion. We said by the 10th of October, if nothing has been done, there will be a nationwide strike. The president discussed the issues with us, our demands with us, and what he's able to do is what he's told us, and it's written vividly on this paper. That is all.
We've sent series of notice to your outfit to the extent that we've had a committee with you headed by Honorable Kendapa, and it will wonder you to know that ever since we met them, we've not had any concrete decision. So we are saying that the government must come out to say something, and I believe when such a thing is done, it's going to help all of us. Otherwise, the organized labor is bent on going on strike on the 10th.
The redeployment of the military and other law enforcement agencies to flush out illegal miners from water bodies and forest reserves. The military is now supporting the forest guards of the Forestry Commission to protect the forest reserves from destruction by illegal miners and loggers. Government, working with the judiciary, has already established 14 dedicated courts, 7 high courts, and 7 circuit courts to handle illegal mining cases. Collaboration with the organized labor and other stakeholders to fight illegal mining, government has asked organized labor to nominate representatives to be part of the stakeholders committee to fight illegal mining in the country. Organized labor has therefore decided to suspend the internal strike action. We are calling all workers to report for work on 10th of October 2024 and beyond. Organized labor will keenly monitor the implementation of these measures which government has made, and government will hear from us if it fails to do the needful.
Well, there's a cloud of disappointment generally about this decision that organized labor took, as communicated by the Secretary General Joshua Ansah on Wednesday. There are many who were expecting that organized labor would send a strong message with a strike. Reason being, we cannot keep doing the same things and expect different results. This matter of illegal mining has become more of a perennial one, at least over the last 6-7 years. We keep talking about it. It becomes a no action talk only period. We move on to something else. But the existential threat that we are faced with now demands that we have to do something radical and different. All according to the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the water systems we have in this country, 5 of them, almost all of them are gone. And this week we discovered that the Wager Dam, that's what you see there, for the benefit of those listening to us on 3F 92.7, Wager Dam that takes its source from the Densu River. The Densu River that flows from the Etiwa forest, all polluted as a result of illegal mining. The Densu River is a source of water for millions of people here in the Greater Accra region. And that's why that narrative or the argument that Galamsey is not happening in Accra, so people in Accra shouldn't be making noise about it. It's a relatively questionable and a daft one, to say the least. We are all affected by what is happening. This morning, we would have a dispassionate conversation about this matter and where we are now. And so, as Labour has decided to take a detour from a nationwide strike for now, what happens next? That's the conversation we have. It's a big one on our plate this morning here on Key Point. We have a number of people who are going to be joining us. The government has announced a new set, renewed measures and means to deal with this matter of illegal mining. Operation Halt 2 engaged. They are already on the ground, burnt a number of chamfans, seized a number of water pumps, but then to what end? We've been on this path before. There are people who believe that this would work, others think otherwise. We would weigh all the views and have a conversation this morning here on Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. We'll spend some time on this anti-LGBTQ plus bill as well. That there was a peaceful protest this week by the proponents and persons who support this bill on the streets of Accra, demanding that within 2 weeks they want to hear from the Chief Justice on the way forward with this bill. What are the legal dynamics of this bill, especially because Parliament has done its work? And then now the whole issue is with these cases in court. Will this whole rule apply that when the life of this Parliament ends, the life of this bill ends as well, especially because Parliament has already done its work? That's a conversation that we'll have this morning here on Key Point. As always, you are an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. There are very many ways you can connect with us. I'm going to go for this quick break. When I come back, a set of experts, Ghanaians, passionate people who want the development of this country in many, many ways will be joining us. I am Alfred Okanse. Welcome to Key Point. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. The conversation starts right now.
Colgate Herbal is formulated from unique natural herbs to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums. This advert is FDA approved.
We all have that one friend, always by your side for the big moments and ready to assist. He's always got his eyes on the prize and his heart in the right place. Where would we be without our BFF? This season, enjoy all 380 Premier League games with your BFF GoTV. Upgrade or reconnect to GoTV Super Plus for the discounted price of just 265 cedis today. GoTV, love it.
Over 5 million children have benefited from free SHS. Protect free SHS. Vote Dr. Baumia, #1 on the ballot.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled. But over here, we do more than just talk. We resolve problems. We hold those in power accountable. We address all the key happenings in society, from politics to health to education to everything you deem important. And we will center the voice of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is the show that sets the agenda.
Agenda shows Mondays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
money pa fata asu twie we. Esi Messi and me 200 Ghana ko jasu sister. Buy you na 5 cedis. And 40 Ghana. Hey, she container your 40 to 50 pesos. And not 20 Ghana. And at dancing, all on can do 30 Ghana. Adai, on my bay money away.
What was our casa? Me show din. Sha, Dokura me di 20 Ghana. Me pay for me 15 Ghana cedi a day. On my bay near woman, ya call ya not yes, buy.
Share, and yet Diane Bonkuan and Kosuru. John Dramani Mahama time. Smith 1 bag. Near 24 Ghana cedis. Min Konto Smith 1 bagger. Yes, say a 108 cedis. I don't know what you're better saying. It is to say, who sit down here? Say, and I'll be say, John Dramani Mahama Mama Gia. Yabewo,
Yana Bibian from Wakombe Queen.
I'll come in the end queen. You better fire 100 pa. No people are buying. But dear more Ankasa, media minimum how. Na media, measure my system, number 12.
And yes, sanity, dear. A year Kufu than any bow near. Yamia don't say December 7. True. You be true, Master said you too bad. You be true, Ankasa.
She was sitting no to Abapa. A this Sakraya Papa Beba Wabrabum. To Abama John Mahamani NDC.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luckiest everywhere.
8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get a packing so you have to come out. One lie. Hey, wait.
You go put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck. Hey, we'll wait here. We have star 712. It's put your phone. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And now with me at home ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let me choose buy tickets for others.
Love you, boo boo.
Maybe straight to option 4. Now we try. You need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
Hey,
there, tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts. Now the luckiest.
The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
A man is only a man. In this case, a chronicity waka in Swanreye.
She kept on pushing the agenda of me having sex with my boss. One day, I went naked in front of him.
The weakness of a man is the eye. The first look is not evil. Yeah. The second look, you are giving temptation. Yeah. That look, you fall.
Show me your friend and I'll show your character. The friend came to influence her. It sparked something in her which she wanted to do, but now they're taking a car.
When we cheat, we invoke a lot of evil against our lineage. Yes. You can't solve it today. Obi de beya woba, obi de beya wo mama.
Confessions shows this Saturday at 10 p.m. only on TV3.
We've had NDC and MPP taking turns in ruling the country. What we need now is a new energy, is a third force to break the duopoly.
Would you say that brewing tensions are the only reasons why Ghanaians should maybe be thinking about a third force?
I call it a time of a mental revolution. The people are woke. The people are ready for a change.
Don't mind them. The bell, the bell,
The Ladies Circle shows this Saturday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad, MTN,
Woodin,
Cowbell Coffee, Betway.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations of our time. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and the game changers. We ask the questions that matter, and we don't back down.
Tonight on Hot Issues, I sit with the man at the Center of Corruption Investigations.
Join me on Hot Issues here on TV3.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. We are very, very interactive this morning, so there are many of you who can share your thoughts and views and your comments with us on the issues that are on the table for us to talk about, and it bothers on all of us. We are faced with this existential threat of illegal mining, and we cannot talk about anything else much more important than this, especially because on a daily basis we get to know how much of a threat that this is to all of us. And as we go on, and what you're saying on the screen, and for those listening to us on 3FM 92.7, let's stay on this video, because this is the Densu River. The Densu that flows through some part of Ghana West. It gets its source from the Wager. In fact, the Wager Dam gets its source from the Densu River. That's what the Wager Dam, as of Tuesday, when we visited the Wager Dam. The Wager Dam, parts of it, we see, looks this way. And this is the source of water for millions of people living not only in the Greater Accra region, but part of the Eastern region. This takes its source from the Etiwa Forest, as a matter of fact. The Densu River.
So you see why we are in court saying government should not mine bauxite in Etiwa.
True. The man you're hearing is Martin Pebu. He is private legal practitioner and leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups, and then also the convener of the Komipeko Reloaded demonstration, lawyer Martin Pebu. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. Kansi. Morning. Good to be here. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, now as I keep getting responses from our fans saying that, yes, you've made the program the #1 in Ghana, right? We are the most listened to. Yes,
thanks to all of you.
Great. And as usual, let me greet Gamanche, Kentucky, Teku through the second. You know, as I always say, that will be the signature tune here. As long as you see me here, Gamanche will be on the agenda for his role in this Siliadapa matter. Gamanche is asking duty bearers, how can one woman have so much money under her bed? This is Siliadapa matter. We will have to get to the bottom of it. It's not going anywhere. If we don't do that, these politicians will continue to loot us. We'll have to get to the bottom of this Siliadapa matter. And of course, let me greet Osajifo Osiadeyo, Dr. Ajimambedu II, Domahini. He too, you know, I like to say good morning so that he will continue to talk. The fact that he's a traditional leader and a judge shouldn't prevent him from talking, because we are just too quiet as a nation. We are too docile. You don't know what's in the Ghanaian man, right? So Osajifo, more of the show, more fire. And of course, Yasantua, ex-Chief Justice Sophia Kufu. Good morning. Yasantua, we haven't heard from you in a while.
I think the last time
we want more fire from Sophia Kufu too. Okay.
Council, thank you very much. And then also to all the guests over the period who have been dedicated and committed to ensuring that at least we represent the voices of the people the best way possible. And also to the team here, doing the best they can to give all the support to make this program what it is today. So yes, it goes to all of them.
Right.
Also, let me welcome Austin Game, who is a celebrated labor expert, a former minister, for that matter, of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Austin Game, good morning, welcome.
Thank you, Alfred.
I like your hat, by the way.
You're welcome.
Vintage indeed. And he's not alone dressed with this way this morning. A good friend of this platform and a man of many parts. So today he says I should limit him to one of the leaders of the Ghana coalition against illegal mining in this country. Whenever there is a cause, he shows up, and we've seen him show up for many good causes over the period in this country. Senor Jose, good morning, Senor.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to also be with my very good friends and my uncle too.
I'd also be joined as we go on by private legal practitioner Andy Apiakobi, who's a member of parliament for the Asante-Achim North constituency. He has a story to tell about Galamsey in his constituency and what he's done about it. And he's preaching that that can be done in all the other constituencies as well. Especially because according to Kennedy Japan, there are some MPP and NDC MPs who are involved in Galamsey. And also Nelson Rosin Dafiamekpo, who is a member of parliament for the South Dike constituency. He's also a private legal practitioner. He would be joining me as well. And as we go on, you would hear from some security analysts who would also have a voice on the issues we're going to be talking about here on Key Point. Remember, we're live on a number of radio stations as well across the country. I would acknowledge them as we go on. But, Counsel, a very quick one. Because you have also been providing some legal support for these protesters who were detained in prison and police custody over the last 2-3 weeks. This week, a number of them were granted bail. Yeah. A number of them were in court yesterday as well for the continuation of their case. One of such persons who has not been granted bail, this is one of two, I think, is Oliver Bakavomao. The court gave reasons why they denied him bail, and you say that those reasons are untenable. Why is that?
Yes, so last week we mentioned that there is a case called Oku versus the Republic, in which the provision that has been used to deny Vomawo bail was expressly dealt with. Justice Taylor considered that provision. So we are talking about section 96, subsection 5. Okay. Yes, one of the considerations that a judge should use in determining whether to grant bail. Remember, the overriding team or the main thing is that it's a discretion the judge exercises, right? Because all offenses are bailable now, right? Now, in exercising the discretion, the judge considers a number of factors. So one of them is that if the person before the judge, that's the accused person or suspect, is one who is already on bail for a previous offense, right? Then it should influence, not just any offense, an offense that if he is convicted, he may be sentenced to serve more than 6 months. Then the judge can look at that and use it to deny him bail, right? Yes, pure law, that's how it's stated in the section 96, subsection 5 of the Act 30. But the point is that, you know, the laws are subject to interpretation by judges, right? Yeah, judges make law. We can't run away from that. So in 1976, the case of Oku versus the Republic came before Taylor J. I want to say Taylor J. At that time, Justice Taylor was a High Court judge. Subsequently, he rose through the ranks to become a Supreme Court judge. By 1976, he was a High Court judge. So Taylor J. looked at that provision and did a lot of analysis from English cases, all that, and concluded that, listen, that's a very dangerous provision, right? Yeah, he said, no, if we are not careful, we are going to use it to stifle the freedoms and personal liberties of our citizens. So he wasn't going with it, and he showed why it's not good. So since then, we've been using it. And you see that already there are indications. Oliver will get bail. It's just a question of time. But of course, you see how I'm even saying it's a question of time. I'm sorry I'm saying it that way, but that's practically how to put it. As I keep saying, one thing is very clear, that as a society, we don't understand that principle, that personal liberties are priceless. That one is very clear to me, that we don't understand it. We don't. Not with the current state of our law. We don't understand that principle.
You've advocated for legal reforms.
Yes, nobody can convince me that we understand what it means when we say personal liberties are priceless. No. Because like I keep saying, you saw what the judge did last week. The case is called on Tuesday, and then you adjourn now till Monday. 5 days. That's not personal liberties being priceless. Because, and I'm talking about the context of this case, because these are misdemeanors. Or if it were murder, right, and let's say the facts were that even though we know an accused is innocent until proven guilty, if it were murder, it was one which said, touch wood, maybe Evans has shot this Apedo right? Let's just say, touch wood, we pray it doesn't happen, but let's say the facts show that Evans pulled the gun out of anger and shot Apedo. Oh, that one, if the judges are adjourned for 2 weeks, you won't see me say the same thing. But the context is that these ones are misdemeanors. And misdemeanors are the smallest of our crimes. And usually, even if the person is found guilty, they give the person a fine. So where you are keeping the person in custody for 2 weeks, hey, then you see us making noise. So please, as we are advancing this point, it's case specific.
Right.
It's case specific. It's the facts that will show. If it were murder, you say Evans has taken this in a gun, shot Apedo. When I say Evans, that's your cameraman, right? You are Evans, right? And then Apedo. But today I don't see Apedo standing here. Okay, good. So that one is different. So please don't take me out of context, because I go to court 5 days a week. That's where I make my living. So I won't just come here and say anything. It's case specific.
Right.
So in cases like this, that's how come in table number 4, the Supreme Court said, hey, 48 hours is 48 hours. Saturday, Sunday, holiday, strike. Even when the judicial service staff are on strike, they say no. Just come and listen. You'll find the Chief Justice office. They will process it, and the Chief Justice will give you a judge somewhere.
No matter the circumstance.
Yes.
48-hour rule must apply.
Exactly. And then they, after that, they've gone through protocols saying that, hey, don't play with the liberties. But so far, the way we've dealt with the protesters, you see that we are not walking our talk. You remember the protesters got bail on Monday around 11 o'clock, and the orders and the notice to the police got to the police the next day at what, 2 p.m. More than 24 hours. Something that's just two sheets of paper. Something that a properly trained stenographer secretary would type in 2 minutes. It took more than 24 hours. Then the police, we see, because we've not done proper protocols, it gets to them, they say, oh, we don't have men. So it means that we've not come out with enough reforms. We should have reforms that will show that, hey, these letters will come out 1 hour, whatever. From there, it goes to the police. The police will have a standby unit. I know currently police has a number of people. There are people even doing visibility. So IG has to reorganize the system so that you pull a bit of the visibility persons. So the person can be, so let's say, you know, even at immigration, they used to have some of the visibility officers. So those who are near the police station, the police headquarters, so that if the court orders are coming, registrar should call even before the paper gets to the office at the police headquarters or wherever. So within there, then they call some people at the visibility unit. So it means that those persons are responsible for visibility and also going to check the residences of accused. So by the time the letter gets there, the policeman is there, ready. And then they take accused, and then the sureties, then they go and inspect, because the police will not release, and that's the law. Actually, it's a registered prerogative before the person is released from custody. If the bail is that it's with sureties, they would have to go and inspect the residence of the sureties. And even the accused, police won't let accused just go away when they don't know where his abode is, right? So you see that these administrative things delay us. And also you see that currently we don't even have anything about Saturdays and Sundays, how the process should work. So once you are giving bail on a Friday and you are not able to meet it, Saturday no business, Sunday no business, then come and continue on Monday. No, we don't understand. We don't understand it. And it's a shame, because this one, when I was coming, the thought that came to my mind was that, but I thought we are all agreed that they say civilization started from Africa, right? We were the first.
Well, yes.
So it's not surprising. Some of these things, we've been lazy. Then the white man came and took over from us. Because if we are all agreed that civilization started here, how come that today? You see how they've gone ahead of us miles. These are some of the things. We are refusing to think. We are refusing to do self-introspection. And then it's just like now, it's all about money. This is our society, money. Get rich anyhow, or just die trying. We don't place personal liberties first. If we did, these things shouldn't be happening in 2024. So back to Oliver's side, as we've said, so please, let's round up on this chapter before we come back to Oliver's side. So we'll beg Chief Justice to get a committee, invite us, we'll come and give free opinions on how we can reform this bail system in terms of the administrative structures, because it's too embarrassing. Did you guys interview Ama Governor? right? Yes, I mean, it's a shame. You see, a lawyer had to go to jail. I mean, of course, not convicted. When I say jail, in other words, custody, in order to bring these matters to the fore. It's bad. And you see, the registry will close at 4 p.m. How? When JM is preaching 24-hour economy. 4 p.m., yes, the registrar who came to work at 7:30, 8 o'clock, yes, he goes. Another one should take over. Another one should take over.
But I thought that they had started some system like that.
That's afternoon courts. All closing at 4 p.m. So it's CJ start. Yes, it's a good initiative. The afternoon courts that the CJ is piloting in Adenta, Amasaman, etc. And I think around La area there. Yes, that's good. But we need to do more so that we really bring to bear the 24-hour economy. Because if we say personal liberties are priceless, we can't lock the offices at 4 p.m. and go home. When persons have been admitted to bail, and then we say, well, it's 4 o'clock, we are going home, go, just continue in custody. We'll come how many hours, maybe 16 hours later, or so, to come and continue. No, the process cannot truncate because we are closing at 4 p.m. Okay. At 5 p.m., another registrar should continue the process. At 7 p.m., continuation, so that it's possible that the accused will be released. We need to reform the law. This is archaic. Please, let's remind ourselves that civilization started here. If civilization started here, how are we reclaiming it? Because this is no brainer. If you just put a committee together, CJ Tokonu, we beg you, put a committee together, we'll do a good job and we'll just change the law, because we can't continue to punish ourselves like that. Because right now, I'm sure some people already are getting iPhone 16, right? iPhone 16 was just released. You wait, you see the number of people holding iPhone 16, see the cars. So what I'm saying is that when it comes to material wealth, we want to be at par with the developed world. But when it comes to personal liberties, it's nobody's business. It can't work like that. So tying it up on Oliver's matter, so return to that chapter. So you see that the High Court judge gave an indication that it's not just an indication, that's not putting it right. So he's giving a roadmap, right, that the circuit judge should admit Oliver to bail within 72 hours. I mean, if the trial will not start within 72 hours. Yes, that's why his orders were that the circuit judge, that's to say Justice Obri Yebua, should admit Oliver to bail if the trial will not start within 72 hours. And so when the case went back to the circuit court, yes, it became clear that it will not start within 72 hours. But Justice Obri asked that the lawyers come formally, that's put the application in writing. I just hope that this time they will expedite. Let's give meaning. Let's give meaning. This will be the team as we keep fighting Galamsey. Let's give meaning to the principle that personal liberties are priceless. Let's give meaning to it. And also let's give meaning. You see, police, in this case, you see the part of the case that showed that the IG himself admit, Dan Parry and his team, they admit that they kept at least 2 protesters beyond 48 hours. Please, we are not kidding with that rule. That's Martin Pebu number 4 versus Attorney General number 4. IG Dan Parry. That should be the last time. We are not kidding with it. We are not kidding. That's a decision in 2019. And Supreme Court laid out the procedure. This is not the first time. You remember when Oliver was arrested a few years ago, this E-levy matter? That was the same thing. They kept him beyond 48 hours. We made a lot of noise showing that no, look, even if it's Saturday, you have to, the CJ is shown the way. You get registrar. There's a protocol. Registrar will have to reach judicial secretary. And then there's a way for them to arrange for a judge to sit on the matter on Sunday. It is Sofa Ekufu didn't know why she was doing the whole Supreme Court. It was a unanimous decision. And that was Sofa Ekufu's last judgment before she retired in 2019. That was we call it valedictory judgment. So that's what she rose with. So the Supreme Court knew what they were saying. Well, unanimously in 2019, that 48 hours is 48 hours. And after that, they gave Chief Justice Eni Yebua 6 months to roll out how to access the court on Saturdays, Sundays, public holidays. And then from 2019, this is 2024, and we are just still breaching people's fundamental human rights as enshrined in Article 14. This cannot continue.
Well, I want to ask. I mean, it's a very important submission, but so what reliefs exist for the likes of Oliver or anyone who suffers the impunity of the institutions of state in disregarding the directives of the court? Because like Martin is saying, it's not the first time. It's referred to another time.
There have been a number of instances.
Yeah, you can have 1,001 issues with Martin in life, but you cannot disregard the work and his contribution to the issues around this and the human rights of people. So, Martin, I mean, I'm asking for education. We can't have the recourse just being on radio or TV and shouting, nagging or whatever, and people continue to have their way. What recourse can we have beyond shouting?
So, the number one, well, maybe I shouldn't say number one. One of them, the easy ones, is to sue the police. Okay, you sue the police for compensation. But I know court, it takes time. So I would rather you just release the person or went to court within 48 hours than to give the person money. You senor, see the kind of work you do. You know, so the point I'm making is that, touch wood, if you are kept beyond 48 hours, you lose a lot more in business than the sum the judge will give you some years later when you finish the case. That's how come I'm not interested in the compensation. But in law, when they keep you beyond, and I'm sure the protesters are going to sue. Even currently, NACOP kept somebody, an accused person, beyond 48 hours like that. Yesterday we were in court. We are preparing to sue NACOP because we warned them. We said, listen, it's 48 hours. I mean the Narcotic Control Commission. How? 48 hours is 48 hours. They just elbowed us. They refused. They thought they will sue. Other people are suing. There are cases in court. But the point is that it's even good you have mentioned. So when you look at the amount, the kind of work you do, the point is that those things, when you sue, so far I'm not aware of a compensation that has even hit 200,000. But I know from the work that you do, you would rather be out and continue than to wait. None of the compensation, even 100,000, I'm not aware of a judgment where an accused got 100,000. The last one I did, so over 6 years, he got 30,000. What's 30,000 to you? And
then, so the question, so who pays for it?
Right.
The state will pay.
This is my problem with this entire kind of thing. People leverage offices of trust, abuse citizens, abuse the state, and when there's a cost to it, the state pays. It's my tax.
It is you and I who pay, not
exactly. So, I mean, there has to be some kind of reform where when people do some of these things glaringly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what negligence, criminal negligence or something? There must be something.
Yes.
Because you cannot continue to create cost. Yes.
The relation of duty.
You know, it's a thought matter. We can't continue like this. You can do whatever it is in the name of whichever office that you hold, and you know that if there's a consequence, I mean, you're just going to have the state continue to pay for it. It's not on. And in addition, the reforms we should be looking at. If people may still abuse whatever it is, but can the courts actually set up special human rights courts that deal with this thing expeditedly with the mandate to cure this matter in no more than 2 weeks if there's any suit on the matter? Because the facts are supposed to be open. It's not something that you keep kicking the can. If there's a judicial system to actually support the enforcement of these rights, people will be careful when they abuse it.
Thank you. You are right. You have a point. We have 2 human rights courts, but obviously what you are saying, that is not sufficient, because from what I've said, you won't get a decision in 2 weeks. No, it will take more than a year. And that's how come, as I said, no, let's begin to implement the law. So I hope Chief Justice Tokonu is listening.
Well, thank you for that. And I just want to take a look at the protesters over the week and some of the concerns that they had while in custody. And that will just round up this part of the conversation for us. Take a look.
Charlie, it's not easy. How is it like? How is it? Cell. 2 weeks in cell. It's down bad. Down bad.
We are not our robbers.
How can they lock us up? 2 weeks in cell.
We deserve our rights. We are Ghanaians. How is it like in cells? How is it like in the cell? We are not having it easy. We are all suffering. We deserve our rights. I am not a thief. I am not an armed robber. The armed robbers and the thieves are there. Let's learn from them. So listen, how is it like in the cells?
3 days kenke. They feed us with 4 days kenke to eat. 3 people, 1 sardine. 3 people, 1 sardine to share. 3 people, 1 sardine.
How many times?
Twice in a day. Twice. Condemn food. No, even a deaf person will eat that food.
You mean it's twice in a day?
Twice in a day.
Ghana.
Ghana
is for us.
We never eat their food.
Ghana does not belong to anybody.
How is the condition like in the cells? How is the condition like in the cells?
21 people in 1 room at Abraka. Go and check today. 21 people in one room. Some of them go to coma. I have evidence.
Charlie, it's not easy.
How is it like? How is it?
Cell. 2 weeks in cell. It's damn bad. Damn bad.
We are not our robbers. They are
How
robbers
can
and
they
thieves
lock
are
us
there.
up?
And
2
we have
weeks
to
in
pay
cell.
It is our rights. We are Ghanaians. How is it like in cells? How is it like in the cell? We are not having it easy. We are all suffering. We deserve our rights. I am not a thief. I am not an armed robber. The armed robbers and thieves are there. Let's learn from them. So listen, how is it like in the cells?
3 days kenke. They feed us with 4 days kenke to eat. 3 people 1 sardine. 3 people 1 sardine to share. 3 people 1 sardine.
How many times?
Twice in a day. Twice. Condemn food. No, even a deaf person will eat that food.
You mean it's twice in a day?
Twice in a day.
Ghana.
Ghana
is for us.
We never eat their food.
Ghana does
but
not
their
belong
food is
to anybody.
We can never eat their food.
How is the condition like in the cells? How is the condition like in the cells?
21 people in 1 room at Abraka. Go and check today. 21 people in 1 room. Some of them go to coma.
Charlie, it's not easy.
How is it like? How is it?
Cell. 2 weeks in cell. It's damn bad. Damn bad.
We are not our robbers. They are
How
robbers
can
and
they
thieves are
lock
there.
us up?
And
2
we have
weeks
to
in
pay
cell.
It is our rights. We are Ghanaians. How is it like in cells? How is it like in the cell? We are not having it easy. We are all suffering. We deserve our rights. I am not a thief. I am not an armed robber. The armed robbers and thieves are there. Let's learn from them. So listen, how is it like in the cells?
3 days kenke. They feed us with 4 days kenke to eat. 3 people 1 sardine. 3 people 1 sardine to share. 3 people 1 sardine.
How many times?
Twice in a day. Twice. Condemn food. No, even a deaf person will eat that food.
You mean it's twice in a day?
Twice in a day.
Ghana.
Ghana
is for us.
We never eat their food.
Ghana does
but
not
their food
belong
is
to anybody.
We can never eat their food.
How is the condition like in the cells? How is the condition like in the cells?
21 people in 1 room at Abraka. Go and check today. 21 people in 1 room. Some of them go to coma. I have a
Some of them go.
Well, so those were the concerns that some of these protesters had. One that stood out was that 3 people sharing 1 sardine and so on. But then again, it's bigger than that. And that's one of the issues that you talk about the reforms that has to be considered going forward. Let me acknowledge the Honorable Andy Apiakobe is Member of Parliament for the Asante-Achim North Constituency. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Council, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother. And good morning to your panelists, especially my most respected senior, whom I associated over a long period of time in my life, and he was one of the contributors to shaping my political future. I appreciate that.
So you were NDC first before you crossed.
I saw him more as a statesman.
Yeah, right.
And in my development years, there were people that... in fact, one of my very cherished mentors is Dr. Amin Chambers. And he is NDC.
No, but you're NDC first.
I have never been NDC.
No, I mean, it's the spirit.
I think
he was our president, he was president, but senior politician, he was
I was then the SRC president, and I took
you were politically tinted SRC president.
Exactly.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, no, that's not it. It is, no. This one I will defend him. The student politicians were all here. Those days, the funding politics was not really something that was on the table. No. The student politics funding, it started sometime in the 2000s. Not this time.
But what is good is good.
It's not to say you get something if the politicians want to
Professor
do something, but those days it
no
wasn't
to
about
the LGBT.
It was
okay. That doesn't mean I'm NDC.
Perfect.
No. I commend
it's not NDC PP funding and all those
for the free SHS.
Seriously.
Does it place me in a political situation or another? I am a statesman and I want to continue to be a statesman.
Right.
So whoever does anything good to Ghana, I will support it.
Thank you. Andy Apiakobe, thank you very much. You know,
he must go.
Gentlemen, we'll talk about that.
No, if the business, you want me to identify the businessman, it is you, Martin Penny.
It cannot be. It certainly cannot be.
And I hear the money was never returned.
It certainly cannot be.
The money was shared.
Let me introduce the other one.
Anybody, so-called businessman, thinks that I or we have his money, he should come out. And whatever I am, I will resign now. If he comes out to say that we did not return his money, I will resign from my position.
He will come because it will identify him.
So you return the money.
Oh, it was not returned.
We did not even take it.
Ask Kofi Adam. Kofi Adam was there. The money was not returned.
Was he there?
Ask him.
No, but it's okay. I don't have a problem.
You see, was he there? When you do things like that, people don't take you seriously.
Did you take the money?
What we are discussing is a serious matter. And don't forget that we are on national TV. And when you say that Kofi Adam said that the money was not retained,
it means that the money was taken.
Which is not a known fact. Was he part of the meeting? And if anybody in the meeting came out to say that we even took any money from somebody, that is a different matter. But somebody who was not part of our grouping, somebody who was not part of that meeting, will rather come and tell you that somebody took money that was not returned. It means that, and you will believe it as a lawyer.
Oh, I do.
As a lawyer.
Okay. All right.
Then it challenges your credentials as a lawyer.
Okay. Thank you. So you are saying that the money was returned. You didn't.
I said that I have told the world that some attempt was made to influence us with money, which was rejected. So rejection, what does it mean? Rejection means receiving before returning. Does rejection mean receiving before returning? And you are a lawyer.
No, don't worry. I believe
attempting criminal law is an offense.
Yes, but
how
do you insult?
It's not fair. It's not fair.
How do you don't have to joke with situations like this.
Thank you.
And he being a lawyer, that is why.
Okay.
The kind of lawyer that he is. So what would you do?
Section 20, is it 26? So what is a crime not to report a crime?
Okay. What would you do?
I would have reported
So if you find that as a crime, why don't you report yourself?
But you have to report.
Thank you. So the only thing that is left of this matter is for you to also let us know the identity of this businessman.
Thank you.
But Nelson Roxon Dafiameko is member of parliament for the. No, it's fine. Let me. You don't want to tell us who the businessman is, so let's move. You don't want to tell us now, Honorable Dagom. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity to say good morning to my co-panelists, especially senior Kbebu, senior Kbebu, and my father, Honorable Austin Gavin.
Thank you.
I've been seeing him for some time, and of course, senior whose constituency Galamsey is rife. My former SRC president.
Who says so?
And seniors,
my constituents are listening to you.
And my constituency Peking Palik Pevetongo in South 9. Right. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you have your former SRC president here, so you must just behave.
Must show respect.
Indeed.
But you didn't show respect to me as your senior at the bar. You are attacking me, eh? I'm your senior at the bar. You said I'm not a lawyer.
But you see, for as long no, it's fine. You see, I don't want us to. For as long as you are not,
much as you want to attack, I have the capacity and potency to defend.
Yes,
at all times.
In the end, you will not tell us who the businessman is. So let's move on.
He will say he will have to divulge.
I'm saying that the right to free speech includes the right to keep quiet.
No, when it's a crime, you don't have that right.
Oh, okay.
Section 26 of the Criminal Offences Act, already 25. I will read it.
So while we are this week, something happened.
To provide evidence. Or for you to prove my guilt.
The videos that Honorable and the Apiakubi, you sent me those. We will show those videos. Do you want us to talk about those videos?
A right to remain silent if I so wish.
You don't have that right.
So it is your duty as a prosecutor to prosecute and bring my crime to the fore. Okay. And that is our jurisprudence.
No,
this is not the opposite.
This week.
And the lawyers should speak like lawyers.
Yes, well, and I'll read a section to you. You go. It's a crime not to report a crime.
So what will you not report?
Nelson was interfering, but
yes.
You are the member of the Assurance Committee of Parliament.
Yes.
This week,
yes,
the Minerals Commission appeared before you.
Yes.
The boss,
yes,
Martin AC.
Yes.
And a number of things happened at that committee. I want us to listen to first of what he said about illegal mining happening in some communities in the eastern region, specifically, not yours, not yours, in the Etiwa area,
yes, behind
the police station. The police came out.
Nyinem specifically.
The police came out and indicated it's not happening right behind the police station. It's some 800 meters behind the police station. So there was an acknowledgement that indeed there's something happening. This is what he said. Let's take a look at it.
They see you.
There's no way we'll tell you, we'll give you a license to go and mine a mineral in a water body. We don't do that. So anybody who gets into the water body is involved in illegality. We have reported severally that behind a Nyam police station, people are doing stuff there which we have not permitted. So how come that the police is not taking action? So those guys that Minerals Commission has brought to the attention of MUSEC or DISEC, depending on where it is. The Enyinam one, for example, that Galamsey is taking place behind the police station. So it's like we've told you Galamsey is having a job 600 proper that is behind this new block. Respectfully, Honorable Okujeto and chair of this respectful Honorable Committee, the Minerals Commission officer has done his work. I am not saying that we have also not let Ghana down or we are 100% right. Because they have told you that there are instances where people have had all their rights and they have made mistakes. Of course, that's why they are inspectors.
So he acknowledges there are some shortcomings in the Minerals Commission, but also makes the point about the number of licenses issued and so on. That's a matter that I think the committee is dealing with, because there was a sheet of paper, right, that was presented to you with the years and the number of licenses issued. When we check the Ghana Mining Repository, that's also not consistent with the data that is on there. Is there any other source of data, quickly, from what you do know, for the number of mining licenses issued in this country than what you would find on the Ghana Mining Repository, that website?
Now, they appeared so. They appeared so because the data that the CEO presented to the committee was data that was minus renewals, for instance. Okay. But when you go to their website, they catalogued all the licenses issued without indicating renewals. So if you compare what he had vis-a-vis what the chairman of the committee had, that's the Honorable Kujeto, there were vast differences. So for instance, if you watch the proceedings that day, I made it clear to him that they should go back and compartmentalize the data. That is, under the Act, you have a section of the law that mandates the Commission to issue reconnaissance license. That's the first category. Then you have prospecting license. That's the second category. Then you have license for mining in mining lease areas. Then the fourth one is the small-scale mining licenses. So we have advised him that in all these four categories, indicate how many licenses you have issued to entities and persons. How many have been renewed since perhaps from 93, so that the data, when the data is probably disaggregated this way, then we can speak to it properly. But what he brought was to indicate licenses issued over the years, which doesn't particularize which ones, because on the average, the licenses are caught up by a flution of time after 5 years, you have to come back for renewal. We have no data indicating which ones have been renewed and which ones haven't. So the omnibus data like that doesn't speak to the issue. So that was one of the key things that we advised that the commission undertakes, and they promised that they will do that. Then, of course, we're also aware that the APA came on Thursday. The APA also appeared. Now, if you look at the matters that erupted, I'm scandalized to hear the police come out to respond to the Minerals Commission in the manner that they did. That, what has been reported as happening behind the police station is not immediately behind the police station, but it is 800 meters away. Is that even a thing to say?
No, well, it's okay. It just tells you the state of our country.
The emphasis is on your non-action, that a crime is being perpetrated in your neighborhood, in close proximity to a police post.
Well, in that statement, they said that there was no record of the Minerals Commission boss reporting this, as he indicated before you, and then also they had moved in to check.
Alfred, I'm just going to cut you on this matter. No, please. Have you driven in front of Ejinam before? Anybody riding on that place, you will see the people operating over there. So if you are telling me as a police, do you even need anybody to come and tell you, police, that there's a crime happening here? Don't you know the laws of your own country? Can't you see that this is an environmental hazard?
Senor.
Everything we have to do book wrong about it. Common sense. Why?
I will call you.
I'm not saying about calling.
Senor.
You carry on.
Senor. Let's respect the rules of the platform. Yes.
Yes. So it's not even a thing to say. Now, when the police say that there's no record, did they indicate that they called the police headquarters, there was no complaint lodged? They called the regional police headquarters in Koforidra, there was no complaint. They called the divisional office. They called the district office in Etiwo. So, we must, I think the essence of the hearing on Tuesday was that as public servants, we must be duty conscious when we occupy public offices. And that was my message to the CEO. He was trying to chicken out from my proposition that they must come back for an enhancement of the law.
But in any case, he also has a duty to monitor the operations of
yes, I'm getting there.
And therefore, it's not only about licensing.
Yes.
It's also about...
No, if you look at the law, if you look at Minerals and Mining Act 703 2006 as amended.
That we are going to go through the
yes, yes, as amended by Act 995 2009, it gives them the power under Section 100 that the MINCOM, which is the Minerals Commission entity, has the power to enforce the implementation of the law. And of course, the regulation that subsequently was passed in 2012, LI 2176. What does it say? You have power, for instance, under sections 54 and thereafter and thereabout. You have power to inspect. You have inspectors, environmental inspectors, to go to the environment where licenses have been granted to ensure that the proper
is monitor.
Yes.
That includes inspection.
Yes. But the names of the public officers under the act, they are environmental inspectors. They are supposed to go and inspect. When you issue a license that go and mine in accordance with certain conditions, you must ensure, the law empowers you to ensure that the mining operation is done in accordance with an act. Already you've told the committee or parliament that any mining activity that is undertaken in alluvial plains or in the bed of a stream or a river or near a water body, it's irregular because you don't license operations. Exactly.
Is it unlawful?
It's unlawful. Irregular? Oh, but irregular and unlawful. So I agree. It's unlawful. Now it's your duty to ensure that operations that you have not licensed are stopped, are terminated. I put that to him, and he agreed. Then I said, when this law was passed in the quiet evenings of sometime in 1993, nobody anticipated that environmental degradation would take this form and character. So we didn't anticipate to, for instance, empower our mining inspectors and environmental inspectors to, for instance, bear arms. But if 30 years down the line it's become necessary to bear arms, we'll give you enhanced powers to do that, like we have done for the immigration service. Because the immigration service, when we set it up, we didn't set it up to bear arms. Theirs was to just police our borders and all that, and check our immigration matters.
There was a merger between immigration and border patrols.
Oh, that was under the PNDC, under the Constitution.
And that's when they said the arms started coming.
No, the arms is a recent...
The border patrols were already having
the arms was a recent phenomenon because of the insurgence of terror activities within the ECOWAS. So we decided as Parliament, to enhance their powers, to enable them bear arms. So today they are part of the security services that bear arms. If these Galamsey matters have shocked the conscience of the nation, and everybody says that it should be stopped, and you tell us that as the regulator you have been relying on the army, for instance, you'll be relying on the police service, for instance, you'll be relying on the national security apparatus, for instance, you'll be relying on Ghana Immigration Service, for instance, in terms of weapon operations, and they have failed you. Because they have to collaborate with you as a state agency. And they have failed you. What you should be telling Parliament is that now it is time for you as an entity to have your enhanced power so you can confront the menace yourself.
Right.
But if you tell me that it is the duty of the army, it's the duty of the police to check that, and the police are failing you because a lot of the police officers don't see everyday police activities to be roaming the high forest and roaming our flora and fauna looking for criminals. It is you, the mandated entity under law, whose duty it is to inspect our environment, whose duty it is to make sure that the environment is not degraded in the manner that it is.
My brother,
and
but ask him one question. Did you not any complaint for the police?
They have, Andy. Yes. Indeed, if you look at the Auditor General's report, I cited a couple, and on Thursday, the Honorable Kujetu also brought even the performance audit report.
Okay.
The Auditor General itself have even flagged the matter, including the fact that even school schools and school buildings are under threat from Galamsey operations. All right. So we need to think through these matters as a nation. That what must we do? Because it appears that existing legislation, even though it empowers state entities, they are refusing to properly invoke their powers under the law. For me, the EPA came with the same idea. I said, no, they should come back for an enhanced powers. For instance, I will be the first person to support the idea that the EPA or the Minerals Commission should own a helicopter by now, so they can roam, have area view of what's happening on the ground, and they can move in. We should be able to support them.
So they came with that call that they don't have power. Apart from not having enough powers, they don't have the resources as well, the EPA. That's what they said before you, the committee.
Yes.
That they don't have money. Essentially, because you're supposed to conduct an environmental impact assessment as part of the processes for the granting of licenses. And they don't have the men to do so. Can you imagine what's happening? The reason why we are saying this.
That was like the minimis of the discussions. It was not a core part of the matter. What rather they thought or they proposed was there should be a reversal of the rule, and that when Minerals Commission issues the concessionaire license, all right, or the concession, it comes with a cadastral map. Of course, the law allows that. That is what will tell you always the geographical parameters on the ground as to where the mining will take place.
Always.
Now, you need that before EPA can go in and say that the cadastral map tells us on the ground, in situ, that the mining will take place in this studio physically. So they must determine the environmental impact assessment regarding the mining operations on the flora and fauna within the close proximity of the area. You cannot say that you should do the environmental impact assessment. They were proposing that then they must perform the assessment analysis before the Minerals Commission issues the license. I said, no, if they do that, you are not able to determine the physical area. So that if, for instance, you determine the impact assessment that it is this studio, and the concession is granted when you go on the ground, it is near the gate to the premises of TV3.
Okay.
It will be a total miscommunication.
I support them. My research is in that area.
Okay.
I support the EIA before the license.
Yeah, but I'm saying that if you reverse the order, it will not help the process, because the performance of the EIA, the environmental impact assessment, must be in respect of a certain physical location, which is always determined by the cadastral map.
So can you be a proposal that this is where we are going to grant the license over? Then you do it.
As long as they give us a schedule of where the activities are expected within the grant of the concession, it is situated within a specific area without more. But again, let me even push it from where my brother left off. The environmental impact assessment plan is not the only requirement. It must be followed with a mitigation plan.
Of course.
It's part of it.
Yes.
Of course. It's
How
all
to,
part of it.
how to mitigate the impact.
Yes.
So that we mark you by your own propositions.
If I may conclude, that you can come. So, two things came out. The EPA decried the fact that they are bashed for not issuing the impact assessment reports early. But in other jurisdictions like the US, it takes on the average like 8 years, 9 years. So that when you eventually have the impact assessment report, it tells you exactly what to do. It's not done in a rush. On the other hand, the Minerals Commission is of the view that when they placed a moratorium on the issuance of licenses sometime in late 2017, 2018, and there were criticism that has led to the people moving into the forest quietly, illegally, to go and engage in it. So they came back to reopen the license issuing regime. But according to him, the minister at the time, or his minister, Abu Jinapor, told him that it is the delay in the issuance of the license that's creating the problem. So they have actually, by a deliberate policy, speeding up the license issuing regime.
So the minister told him, is that what he believes as the technical person?
Well, so I did interrogate that matter.
So in the end,
so in sum, these were some of the major matters that erupted before the committee that we interrogated.
Well, Senor, just a quick one on this.
This is not that yet,
including the Ninem one. Look, the Ninem district commander should be sacked as we speak. If they came to
my brother, Senor, this thing is neither here nor there. There's only one thing on the table: government failure.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Who runs the EPA? Everybody reports to one person in this country, and this matter is of so much existential importance that you can't be telling me this story about EIA before what my friend, people are wasting everybody's time. If you want to solve this problem, you will solve it. If I can drive in front of a name and see what is happening there, and police can see what is happening there, and we have a system where the governance system has created an environment where people can opt not to care, then what are we paying taxes for?
Okay.
You see, you can't come and tell me that somebody has to come and report to you. Before, if you, policeman, are sitting there and somebody is stealing your car, do they have to come and report to you that they are stealing your car before you go and save your car? You are there to protect the people. So when we also hear these conversations going on in Parliament, I have to be honest with you, it does not inspire me. As much as I appreciate the fact that they have to take technical conversations, where we are right now, we are at a national crisis level. It's not a matter of processing that's making this happen. Even if you grant people licenses and you have an EIA done, and the EIA comes to show you that maybe the things are not done optimally, what have you done about it? Even if it says, okay, this is how you should do it, how do you make sure it is even being done? I've invested in projects that have to do EIA. You have to have a recurring review. You have to have a recurring monitoring system. There's an M&E part of this whole thing. So it is neither here or there, whether somebody has done it before or has done it after. Where are you now? Today, where you are standing today, where are you? And if it's not going well, what are you doing about it? Our state is failing, and government has failed. Let's admit it and fix it. Don't give too many unnecessary excuses. With the power of the president, a lot of these things will just go off. That is why we're asking for the state of emergency. If you haven't got clarity in mind, just stop press. Call a pause to this whole thing. Take your time and review it, and let's save our country. Let's not start pointing fingers to one institution or the other. No institution is the problem.
No, sorry, I was called to.
I'm not holding you. I'm not this one. I understand that. It is for the government of the day to seize all institutions of state to fix this problem if they are willing. Obviously, we can all see one thing. The government of the day is not willing. And it's not an MPP NDC matter. Because the government includes both parties as well. And all of us as a people. If police people can be part of it, military members go in and they are part of it, we are destroying the state. I'm telling you so you just get to know. There are senior officials of the military who are really worried about even getting their people back into the Galamsey area.
It's a graduated conversation. We'll get there on this particular point. Yes, you see, the most important matter is that responsibility has to be taken, essentially. And that's why when the EPA appeared before, and I made reference to how the conversation ended, because everybody else came to explain why they are not doing one thing or the other, whilst the problem continues.
Meanwhile, they have one boss.
So we cannot continue to explain away our responsibility when the existential threat that we are faced with continues to get worse on a daily basis. Can we?
Yes. Albert, I couldn't agree with you more that we cannot continue to expect people to explain why they have all done illegal acts. We cannot wait. And I agree with my brother also who says that this is not NPP and DC matter. And I think that the people of Ghana, we are confronted with a possible calamity, and all of us must rise to the occasion. The reasons why Ghanaians don't benefit from leadership is politicization of national issues. The moment something takes a political color, a partisan political color, then the other party would want to oppose, albeit sometimes unreasonably. And therefore, the call for a national contribution is in order. And I believe that once we confront the problem as Ghanaians, we'll be able to solve it. Indeed, in my own backyard, as my friend was trying to ridicule me as the Galamsey, I know, he was joking. In my own backyard, I have a system of mobilizing the youth, the people, the chiefs, political leadership, and indeed the assembly, our assembly members. In fact, it had never happened until about 4 weeks ago.
So you mean Galamsey had never happened in your constituency?
No, the people who attempted, and I can point to a building.
We got videos of what you are talking about that happened 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
That illegal mining.
I'm going to also discuss how I have solved the problem.
Let's first see the video. This is the Galamsey.
And I sent the videos to you. You see?
Yes. This is the excavator.
Yes.
In your constituency, Asante Achimbo.
Yes.
Prior to this moment, you had always said that there's no Galamsey happening in your constituency. So these are the Galamsey sites in your constituency.
Yes.
You confirm that this is your constituency.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, these people.
These are my boys, whom I sent to go and police.
Tax force.
No, this is not tax force. This is my boy.
Together by you. Your MP tax force.
Personal tax force.
To deal with this illegal mining.
You can't say MP because the state is not funding his operation. So it's personal.
So actually, the Galamsey have been going on for, we understand, about 3 weeks, almost a month, before they were Scott or
indeed, it was one farmer who called me and told me, and the day he called me, I sent my boys to go there, and they reported with these videos. So I immediately called the attention of the police commander that I should mobilize some policemen and go with these people because my boys were afraid. So the police supported them to go there. And some of them ran away into the bush. We arrested some of them. I have pictures of boys we have arrested in handcuffs. And I instructed that they should be put before the court for the court to take decisions. So going forward, you see the thing they put there as the shelter for them. And I can tell you now that the place is quiet now. We are going about finding ways to reclaim the land and also surcharge those people who caused it. So,
so you mean that you dealt with this matter? There's no galamsey.
There is nobody there. If they
at
go
this
there,
site, this site.
Now there's nobody there. But they had suggested that we give them an opportunity to reclaim. I refuse because I don't know what they will do if we send them back. So I've instructed that the police commander with the NADMO director should form a team and bring people who will go and reclaim, and we surcharge those people before we release the equipment.
Collect the money now, because by the time
Master, I won't handle money. I want the people.
You just finish accusing them of money matter.
I see. But you see,
I want the reclamation first at their cost.
I see.
At their cost.
Right.
And then I'm proposing that even there we should go through some prosecution.
So
let's see what will happen.
So the illegal miners, you caught them. Destroying
we caught them.
Area.
I send you videos.
That's not what you're saying.
And I send you videos of people in chase.
No, we'll check that.
You don't have that.
We'll check that. But have any of these illegal miners been prosecuted? Those that your people caught?
Oh, it is only last week or so when I said it to you. And they are reporting to the police. I have instructed that they should be prosecuted, and that the prosecution will happen in my constituency.
I see. So those were the people who were caught on the Galamsey site.
Yes.
Are you making effort to identify who owns the excavator?
To be honest with you,
and
it is difficult to find because I suspect that these boys are not the people who are owners of the equipment, but we have them, so we'll prosecute them. Let's see if in the course of prosecution we will see anybody show up to come and own up. And then we will see how we deal with them because they are the right culprits.
The financiers.
Yes.
And so what's the difficulty in, for instance, identify who owns that excavator or who sends
nobody
to come and destroy that land there?
To be honest with you, I haven't seen any numbers on the thing to indicate who has registered what. So that's the difficulty, but that's part of the job of the police.
When they have numbers, it's normally.
You see, that is part of the job of the police. In fact, I'm not competent to be able to identify who is who now. But if we are going to prosecute, I'm sure that this will come through the investigation, and then we will be able to deal with it. But for me, what is important is that we reclaim the land at their cost and let the law take its course. I may not. In fact, the way I was provoked, if I was there, I may have misbehaved because seeing what I saw, and if I was at the scene, I don't know how my instinct will have pushed me into doing something wrong. Because I think that people like that must be punished, and they should suffer physical punishment.
You have come face to face with this existential threat in your constituency. So this matter we're talking about, and that's why I bring in Zoltan Gamen, because there was a lot of expectation, and that's the next phase of this conversation for organized labor to do something drastic, to say the least. But before we get there, I want you to take a look at
But Ahmed, let me tell you something.
What do you want to say?
I have received calls from some of the people who are reporting of what has happened, and people are also telling me of the engagements. People are telling me what they have done before they got there, and some people have been mentioned. I've told the police to investigate all of them. And indeed, if anybody is found to have supported this activity, the appropriate sanctions pushed to them, including the call by Otumfo that chiefs involved in Galamsey ought to be disturbed. We'll push for that one also. If I find a confirmed indication that any chief in my area was part of the thing, I will also engage Otumfuo to deal with such miscreants.
I see. Well, a good friend of mine, Adam Serem, had this video of what was happening on the Offin River. This was some few months ago. These were drone shots, actually. So these people were basically Galamsey operators using chamfan on this Offin River.
Galamsey operation is not.
They didn't even know that they were being captured. That's what you see there. This is a chamfan.
Yes.
With chemicals, mercury, all in there. Let's take a look.
I think we are past that point.
So this is not one that you can continue keep giving a lot of speeches and verbal commitments to this situation that we're faced with. And these are the people there. And for the Pra River, this has been one of the major references to this renewed talk about illegal mining. Some pupil teachers there in one of the communities that depend on the Pra River had this to say. And Mr. Game, I'll bring you in after this one.
They'll fetch the water and put it in these tanks for us. So this is it. So when they fetch the water and put it in these tanks for us, we just put alum in it. So this is the color. After we put in the alum in it, this is the color of the water. Please, it's serious. This is the color of the water after putting the alum in it. So this is what we are using to bath, to be honest. Now, after putting the alum in it, and you think that they'll say, oh, when you put alum in it, the water will get settled. It will not get, this is the exact color. After 2 days for allowing it to cool down. Very pathetic, all jokes aside. See, if you are sitting somewhere and they are talking of the Galamsey and you think it's not affecting you, you are just kidding. You are just kidding. See, we are all drinking from this, from cooking to washing to bathing. If you bath, you brush your teeth. So this is what they are filtering for you to do. See, let's all wake up one morning and say we are saying no to this Galamsey. We are not joking. It's serious. The first day I saw this, I thought it was a joke. This is the water. This is it.
That is the water. And the alum that she's talking about is also another form of a chemical. If you use it too much as well, too much of everything is bad, isn't it? And they're having to buy more to be able to verify. Now, when we had the organized labor declare this strike to take place on October 10, they had indicated that they were having engagement with government. A number of demands that they were making. The first being the declaration of a state of emergency. That has not been done. And then also the setting up of courts. They say they've been giving assurances that that will be done. And the repeal of LI 2462, we've seen a letter from the Attorney General to the effect that there's a process in place to have it repealed when Parliament reconvenes on Tuesday. That's another matter we'll get into. But the TUC decided to not go on this strike because they had been convinced that government has met majority of their demands. This is Joshua Ansah, Secretary General of the TUC. Let's take a look.
The president has not said anything. We had a discussion. We said by the 10th of October, if nothing has been done, there will be a nationwide strike. The president discussed the issues with us, our demands with us, and what he's able to do is what he's told us, and it's written vividly on this paper. That is all.
We've sent series of notice to your outfit to the extent that we've had a committee with you headed by Honorable Kendapa, and it will wonder you to know that ever since we met them, we've not had any concrete decision. So we are saying that the government must come out to say something. And I believe when such a thing is done, it's going to help all of us.
The redeployment of the military and other law enforcement agencies to flush out illegal miners from water bodies and forest reserves. The military is now supporting the forest guards of the Forestry Commission to protect the forest reserves from destruction by illegal miners and loggers. Government, working with the judiciary, has already established 14 dedicated courts
7 high courts, and 7 circuit courts to handle illegal mining cases. Collaboration with the organized labor and other stakeholders to fight illegal mining, government has asked organized labor to nominate representatives to be part of the stakeholders committee to fight illegal mining in the country. Organized labor has therefore decided to suspend the internal strike action. We are calling all workers to report for work on 10th of October 2024 and beyond. Organized labor will keenly monitor the implementation of these measures which government has made, and government will hear from us if it fails to do the needful.
So that's the reason why they decided not to go on strike. Then we got to know that this meeting was supposed to have organized labor deliberate on whether or not to go on strike. Apparently, the leadership walked in, according to Professor Ramsford Jampo, who is the president of the University of Ghana UTAG. They walked in with a prepared speech that they had already decided that they were going to call off the strike. We spoke to him after that meeting on Wednesday. Let's listen to him.
I'm in touch with my national president. We are holding our own meeting this evening. And then I'm telling you that we are not going to go by this charade. We are not going to go by this show of incompetence and gross disrespect to other unions for constituting organized labor. Clearly, they came with an agenda. Look, there are so many things that are being said about the leadership of organized labor and the kinds of things that happened here. Okay, first is those bogus charges and allegations. I mean, otherwise, if you want to meet with organized labor, why do you come with a prepared speech? In the meeting, we were not. I mean, I made my first point. Others, a few people spoke, and if you are speaking, then the chairman gets up and says he doesn't want you to talk.
Well, that's Professor Jampo. He's the president of the University of Ghana UTAG, University Teachers Association of Ghana. Joining us is Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison, is the General Secretary of the University of Ghana UTAG. He serves with Professor Jampo. Joe Harrison, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
So that position espoused is consistent with what University of Ghana UTAG. In fact, UTAG and national, you declared a strike.
Yes.
Despite the TUC taking a decision.
Absolutely.
Because you felt betrayed.
I mean, not only betrayed, but also disrespected. I think that the decision was not in the interest of the people of Ghana, and so we have taken a contrary view of what organized labor did.
I see. So, Game, do you feel disappointed as well by this action by the organized labor not to go on this strike because, in their words, government has met a number of their demands? Not all, though.
Feel disappointed, and I've expressed my revulsion about this matter to some of them. To be very honest with you, I've heard too many people talking about this issue should not be politicized. I agree up to a point, but let's be clear. What is politics? Politics is about making decisions for and on behalf of people. Partisan politics is about belonging to MPP, NDC, Afafranto, and the rest of it. So if it is about the partisan part of it, let's put it aside. But let's come to politics as making decisions for and on behalf of people. Now, in the 1992 Constitution, it's very clear, and I'd like to premise my conversation on that. Article 36 is about directive principles of state policy, and it's indivisible. Anything that is directive principles, you cannot divide it. Stay focused on it. Article 36(9) says this: the state shall, it has no discretionary view on it, take appropriate measures needed to protect and safeguard the national environment for posterity, and shall seek the cooperation with other states and bodies for purposes of protecting the wide
the wider international environment for mankind. This is the extent to which you can read many other parts of the law, the Constitution and the law for it. Now, organized labor is the only creature by law, and it was deliberately done. We have various unions like UTAG, NAT, and so forth and so on. Then we have various other unions like maybe ICU, we have Public Services Workers Union and so forth. They affiliated to TUC. Some may not affiliate to TUC. We may have other national unions and other centers like Ghana Federation of Labor and so forth and so on. So we put together all of them under the law at 651 to ensure that we have an organized body, an entity that can pull themselves together as a force to protect the Constitution of Ghana and to ensure that the interest of their members and the wider society is protected. What I read, it talks about wider international, to enable mankind to be protected. It's because we share water in some cases with Côte d'Ivoire. And therefore, if we pollute our water and that it affects Côte d'Ivoire, it becomes, that is the issue that this thing is talking about. Now, back to the substantive issue. The issue is about, why are we talking about this issue? One person, one executive authority, the President of the Republic of Ghana, is vested with all minerals in our water bodies, even salt. Everything is vested in the executive president of Ghana. The president of Ghana is to ensure that he accounts for everything, including the minerals. And therefore, accountability is demanded on the president. If the president is not accounting for his stewardship, it becomes a question of you are not being responsible for what we have given you to account for. Organized labor is the only potent body, aside Parliament. If Parliament were not to be sometimes operating under the canopy of partisan considerations, where NDC and MPP are divided on issues, and they are mindful about the supreme interest of the 34 million people, regardless of party color. Because when you fetch water, it doesn't matter whether you are MPP or NDC. You are drinking like the ladies were complaining about. They are teachers. Therefore, NAT has a responsibility, NAGRAT has a responsibility, concerned teachers have a responsibility, UTAG has a responsibility because they are essentially teachers. And at this organized labor meeting, it is not to be acting as if this is a super executive and this is not an executive. One person is to facilitate that process of a meeting, therefore giving everybody opportunity to speak on why we should go in and demand for what we want to ask for. Because not just the question of being threatened, but we are virtually drinking poison minute by minute. Therefore, we are either deliberately trying to cause some kind of, people are trying to commit suicide. We are trying to commit suicide by drinking the water, knowingly that this is full of mercury, lead, and so forth and so on. So that is what we were expecting organized labor to ensure that they hold government's feet to fire and ensure that they reverse all these things, this business of sending soldiers. And I have a lot of respect for our soldiers because they are doing a good job. But this is not a solution and can never be a solution.
We'll get there.
It's just a partial something. So in effect, what I want to say is this. We have been failed as a result of this unfortunate misstep taken by organized labor.
They failed you.
They failed. They failed.
The generality of the Ghanaian people.
Yes, when I say failed, it means all of us. They failed themselves because they will drink water. The wager is feeding close to 6 million people. Wager is feeding people. People are drinking water there. So those in Accra, we are part and parcel of Ghana, and therefore we drink water, we eat, we consume vegetables and so forth and so on. And this water, this Galamsey issue is a major threat to all of us, even to the extent of some international communities are being threatened. So I think it's important that organized labor rediscover themselves, pull themselves together, go to a meeting, apologize to one another, apologize to all of us who are beneficiaries of their actions. This is not about pay increase. This is not about salary increase. This is purely about death, life and death matter. And it's more important than any other subject matter today. And therefore, I think it's important maybe we'll go into the nitty-gritties of what can be done as a solution. Then we can prescribe.
Indeed, but you see, this sense of disappointment, you hear organized labor, their point of defense has been that they sent some demands to government. A number of them, in their view, they say have been met. And so there was no reason, really, to go on this strike.
Well, the most important demand of all the things they sent, the most important is a temporary ban on the Galamsey operations. And this business about Galamsey, talking about community mining, talking about small-scale mining, artisanal mining, and so forth, I'm not too much interested in those kind of nomenclatures. The issue is about illegality. People are issued license, but they are promoting illegality, and therefore I think it's important to ensure that we understand and appreciate where we are with this matter and take steps to resolve it. So organized labor, all that they've said, we've heard them. What the president is attempting to do, we've seen it. But the most important is to have a temporary ban so that we can then organize ourselves as a nation and have a national conversation on small-scale mining. Responsible small-scale mining.
Talk about the illegality. Let me support you with the law.
Okay.
Article 268 of the Constitution. It says any transaction, contract or undertaking involving the grant of a right or concession by or on behalf of any person, including even the government of Ghana, to any person or body or persons whomsoever described for the exploitation of any mineral, water, or other natural resources of Ghana, made or entered into after the coming into force of this Constitution, shall be subject to ratification by Parliament.
Exactly.
And there is a clause 2 that says Parliament may, by resolution supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all members of Parliament, exempt from the provisions of clause 1 of this article any particular class of transactions, contracts, or undertaking. And we have purportedly misinterpreted clause 2 to neutralize clause 1, so that Minerals Commission has reserved a total and complete right to give concessions without recourse to ratification of Parliament. And all such contracts that have not come. In fact, clause 2, by interpretation, means that on contract by contract basis, we may, as Parliament, dispense with that mandate to any authority. But it doesn't mean that we will give omnibus authority to an entity to be issuing licenses without coming to Parliament. So all such licenses granted without the ratification by Parliament are void or voidable. And therefore, anything that they are flouting about as concessions here and there, they have all those that have not been ratified are voidable contracts and none.
You mean they are illegal?
They are illegal contracts.
So as long as it hasn't been ratified.
Because the passage of the mandate is upon one application or the other. And we don't see the applications come to us for us to say, as for this one, Ministerial Commission, do it. They have misinterpreted clause 2 to mean that they have an omnibus mandate to continue up to the conclusion of the compendium. and therefore we as Parliament, we are not even called upon to even rectify. So most of these concessions have gone under the hand of the executive of the Minerals Commission. And I think that we have to correct ourselves as a nation.
Just to offer additional information.
Okay.
Earlier this year, the Honorable Ranking Member on the Lands and Minerals Commission, now he was then the committee, was then the Deputy Ranking, Honorable Suhini, asked the Minister to bring to Parliament all mining licenses that have been for ratification or notice of them. When the Minister came, he brought some and left the major ones, especially those for small-scale mining. So if you listen to the proceedings last week at the committee, the chairman directed the Mincom CEO, Senior to, as a matter of urgency, bring to Parliament all those existing licenses that have not been ratified or information regarding their ratification or non-ratification, which he has promised to do. So I think Parliament is also waking up to its responsibilities constitutionally as a result of this matter. So just to add that these matters are being looked into now.
While you conclude, into Article 41, Clause F, we as a country are enjoined to protect property, public property, and expose combat misuse of waste of public funds and property.
A lot of illegality has been happening.
And that clothes us with capacity to go to court, to even compel the state to act.
I see. Well, you haven't done that. But why let Mr. Dame.
So it is about poor accountability.
Yeah, but 41
we are not accounting for our stewardship, beginning with the executive presidency, and even in some jurisdiction,
which is the bill.
Yes, in some jurisdiction, we would have asked, organized labor should have been asking for the government to be even dissolved. They could have asked that, because this is about life and death matter. We are drinking poison, deliberately drinking poison, and we are sitting down pretending as if nothing is happening. This is life and death matter, and therefore the solution is a temporary ban, so we can have a national conversation on the basis of what Andy had just read to us. So that conversation,
temporary ban on all forms of
all forms of, except the Anglo Gold and so forth and so that are not creating any problem for us.
I've given you 41. Yes, that close you with capacity to go to court for an injunctive orders to stop all those who have not been rectified.
But the point is that illegal. And that's where the issue is. If we see illegality happening, and this is why I bring in Senor, because somebody has been clothed with the responsibility to stop the illegality. There is the dereliction of duty in that regard. You now want the citizens to go to court to compel the individual who has been given both the political and also the resource ability to do what we are paying them to do, to go and compel them to do their work. I mean, how does that make sense?
For us, it's true. Senor, before you come in, for us, that is what the law says. Organized labor, that is where my beef is. Organized labor is the only potent body in this country that, in the unlikely event of the executive presidency being intransigent in operationalizing some of these things, they can force his hands to do it, because our parliament is partisan. They will go there, and NDC and MPP will fight. At the end of the day, they may either not take a decision, the meeting will end inconclusive, but organized labor can compel the executive president to act. And this is where the failure came in.
It's the parliament alone that can
you see, they cannot do it. I'll come to you. Dr. Johnson.
Yes.
When Mr. Game was speaking, there was a point he made about what the unions would do, and you wanted to come in briefly.
Yeah. So I want to put on the record that the statement that was made is not coming from organized labor.
The statement that
Joshua Ansah read did not come from organized labor.
How do you mean? He's a Secretary General.
He is the Secretary General for TUC and the leader of organized labor. But if you say organized labor, that comprises all the unions, and there's a procedure for taking decisions at meetings. On that particular day, anytime organized labor has a meeting, the issues are put on the table, we discuss it, and then we take a decision, pray, and then invite the media in, after which we disperse. On this particular occasion, we got in there, a statement was read to us. And I got up and asked Isaac Bampo and Josh, if you've already taken a decision, then why do you call us to come and do what? And they took offense that I questioned, why they did that. And so they apologized and said, okay, the topic is subject for debate, and so let's decide on the way forward. Now, it was obvious that apart from the registered nurses, ICU, and concerned teachers, every other body in the room was opposed to the suspension of strike.
I see.
At some point, Isaac Bampo invited the media in, and I had to quickly rush on him and say, no, we haven't finished discussing the issue, and we haven't taken a final decision, so why do you want to bring in the media? And so, at that point, the chairman for TUC was on the floor talking, when on the blind side of everybody, the media was invited in, and the statement that had been read, that had been opposed by organized labor, because more than 90% of the unions in the room opposed the suspension of the strike, they brought in the media and read a statement to them. So it is erroneous to say that this is organized labor. This is the view of Josh Ansah, Isaac Bampo, and his cohorts. And that is why UTAG was so disappointed that thing happened.
So you mean they came in with a written statement? They
came in with a prepared speech, read it to us, and I was the one who questioned them why they've taken a position and want us to support it. And so they had to apologize and say that, well, let's deliberate and take a decision.
So that statement that was read was not the outcome of the meeting you had?
It was by no means the outcome of the meeting. In fact, that meeting did not end. Isaac Bampo invited the media in abruptly and read the statement to them as coming from organized labor. And so that's why I want Mr. Gamé to know that organized labor is opposed to the statement that was read, and that it was complete charade, and that is what Prof. Jampo and I put it out there. This statement didn't come from organized labor.
No, I agree. I agree with you because I got to know too.
You see that if we have a disorganized, organized labor, that's a big problem, is it not?
It is a big problem, but I think that it's also a wake-up call. We must first realize we are citizens, and the call on us is on us as citizens. As much as we hope that organized bodies within the citizenry can sometimes stand in the gap, we should know that we all have a role to play individually in standing in the gap. Why don't we have an organized citizenry? So we also have a dereliction of duty. We can't be hoping that it is Professor Jampo and Bampo and Joshua who should necessarily be the ones who should stand in the gap for us or not. In any case, the unions are a collection of individuals. You don't really run a poll like you effectively did with UTAG to know the position of everybody. If TUC goes for a vote, they will lose. The way UTAG did, there's nobody who's going to support this thing. Everybody's tired of the party politics. Now we see an existential threat to our own lives. So it is time for everyone as Ghanaians. Stop waiting for somebody to fight for you. We always want people to do things for us. Who will do something for Ghana? Who will do something for yourself? Yesterday, you saw the church. The Catholic Church. They led this charge. I was happy to be having part of them. And they did it. They protested in that prayer walk. I'm not Catholic. I joined them. It's the largest gathering I have seen. I've not seen NDC or MPP put that gathering before. If tomorrow they say we should all get out there, you know what we're doing? People are rather busy in their cars taking videos and watching. Hey, senor, as I said, me and Kokuma now want to game. See that, guys. We can't wait for anybody to fight our fight for us. At this junction in our life, we have to turn right. Left is not an option. We have to turn to that which is right for the good of our Ghana. That which is right for our children and our children's children. We are not going to wait for any Bampo to get his sense together. We are not going to wait for any Joshua to get his sense together. And I'm not going to spend my energy on disorganized labor. Are they disorganized? They are. All right? And I thank God for UTAG that they still maintain the conscience of the country. I understand the basis for a conversation. Government, these were the demands of organized labor. 1, immediate declaration of a state of emergency in line with the provision of the 1992 Constitution, in an order to halt to all forms of mining, immediate evacuation of all mining equipment in forest reserves and around water bodies, the deployment of the police and military with full orders to remove, destroy all mining equipment and other earth-moving equipment. In water bodies. In forest reserves and water bodies. I mean, now the politicians are beginning to reduce that part of it. I mean, not you, but I'm saying generally, realize the conversation is now going water bodies. They are forgetting that there's a forest reserve part of it. Number 2, the immediate revocation of LI 2462, establishing a special court. This is not a position that is just by organized labor. It is a position that was negotiated and agreed to by the broader coalition. With government. So with the media coalition against government endorsement. I mean, we all did. Yes. We were all part of it. I was there. I went for that particular press conference. I spoke at the place. So that was the position of the collective. Now it is really put out there. What has government done? This happened on the 11th of September. These are things that government should have actually taken an action on. You don't try and issue a statement just the day before the deadline and expect that you still don't proceed with the position because you've been totally disregarded. What the government do? Government granted some of this, we have to agree. All right, you granted, but you granted it in intent, not in deed. If somebody really wanted to do this, at the time of this conversation, at the time of the National Security Minister calling all kinds of the representatives together to have conversations with them, they did with members of our coalition. To have a conversation with them. In fact, Labour didn't want to go in the beginning. But the same actors who have led to this disorganization forced the hand and encouraged them to go. You understand? There's always an incentive for politicians to influence the decisions of organized. There's always every politician, there's an incentive. It doesn't mean that they will do it. There's always an incentive for politicians to control the narrative of organized citizenry. Absolutely. But there's always one. So you must safeguard it when you see that the call is bigger than you. Ghanaians were trusting Labour to lead the fight in this one. They failed. There's no two ways about it. You can't come and tell me that somebody who has always been saying things is in the pipeline and never delivered anything on the pipeline. The day that they saw the fire was coming on, they said, oh, now I will go and deploy this. Now I will go and do this. Where is the thing? You go on strike. If you really want to live by your words, you go on strike. When you go on strike, you wait till you see that things actually being done. Then you pull back. Nobody wants to be on strike. Then you have to get it right. These are people who are also parents. You understand? Even though I was a member of UTAG, I was a lecturer at the University of Ghana for a period. I've run away. You know, look, small pay. Why do you have small pay? I went there for sacrifice, so it wasn't a problem to go and sacrifice for the country. I mean, I just want to do it. You know, but I had quite some. Look, my brother, right?
You see, organized labor met the ad hoc committee that set up. They promised to come back to us with their proposals in a week for us to interrogate. They did not show up. So that showed the level of disrespect government had. And that was why we thought that, look, listen. Government has not been an honest counterparty. Exactly. So you don't trust what they're
anyway, saying. You cannot trust the assurances by the president that these measures that have been outlined would actually be implemented.
So you see, Alfred, this is the problem. Step 1. We must remember that the state has always had these powers. It was entrusted with the mandate by the Constitution to manage all these years. If we didn't have the Ghana Water press release coming out in August, before God and man, we won't be here. Because you sit in Accra, when you open your tap, even though it's not coming every day, you see your water, you are going. When that thing came up, that's when attention came to it. But when I speak to the Ghana Water executives, they tell us that the president is briefed every time about the deteriorating state of our water bodies. What has he done? He has done politics. You know what this conversation about is?
The president's inertia, and look, let's face it, Nana Addo is the most powerful president after, equal to Jerry Rawlings under this Fourth Republic. Kufuor was not as powerful. Mama was no near powerful as Nana Addo. If Nana Addo wants to do something, he will do it. But you know what? It was party politics. They claimed that they were losing seats in Galamsey areas and NDC was taking advantage of it. Because of that, everybody has built an inertia. 2, it is also the funding of politics. Galamsey is funding our politics, both the NDC and the MPP. We have to be honest about these things. It's the same way illegal force, and you can't fix them.
That Galamsey is not funding NDC.
It's not. It's funding all political parties. Please, so there is willful inertia. So a ruling government that is supposed to do it, and who is actually the bigger beneficiary of this Galamsey matter, partisan politically, will not want to do anything because he thinks he can hold inertia on the other side. Look at the statements you are getting from all the party people who go to the Galamsey sites. Mostly the MPP, but if also found NDC people also going to tell the people that will let you continue your work. Why? Because people are looking for votes there. So the votes have become more important than the real mandate that your constitution calls on you. It has become more important than the lives and the future of your children, your children's children. That is why this party political nonsense must stop over this matter. But the president of the day is the one responsible. He doesn't want to do what he accused Kufuor for. And that's what is holding him back. Because he accused Kufuor, and this is public information, of policies that made his chances in 2018 not interesting, particularly fuel prices at the time. So he's also worried if he takes actions around Galamsey, maybe that will also negatively affect his favorite candidate, which is Bawumia, in this matter. My brother, what is your mandate? The people of Ghana or your party? Mr. President, you are failing us. You are failing our children. You are failing our children's children. What is at stake is bigger than you, is bigger than your party. It has everything to do with the future of our country. If you can't put it first, then you are not fit to still hold that office. And that is what everybody must know. This, we are calling on everybody to join the protest. Effective Monday, everybody wear something red. On Fridays, till we find a proper solution, everybody wear a red dress. We have to show politicians that we are up and in protest and against this thing, and we will defend the cause of our children and our children's children. And when we are caught out on the streets, don't sit in your rooms and be speaking English and drinking champagne. Be out there and fight for your future. Don't wait for any organized labor to organize anything for you. Organize yourself and join the fight for us to save the future of our country. Because the people we have entrusted it into don't intend to solve it for us.
Has the president given you any reason to believe?
None. Mr. Look, I'm telling you, you don't need a... Let me tell my disappointment. This is so important a matter that you don't wait as a president for even there to be social agitation for. Nana Addo has failed. And look at the water bodies. A pupil teacher, which pupil teacher will continue to want to stay in that environment when he has an opportunity to leave the place? Look at the water that girl is drinking. Think about her children. What will be in her system? What kind of babies will she give birth to? At the point, people have to look for their survival. And the president has more information in this country than anybody in this country. The next person to him is the security minister. Am I lying? And you are telling me you don't know this. You want it to get this deteriorated for Ghana Water to write a letter and talk about stability levels at 14,000 when these systems are built for 2,000, when treatment should be at 5. For God's sake, you have failed, Nana Addo, and you should wake up to your responsibility. Make sense of the last time in your life, and you should be the one turning this thing around. You know how deep this thing is. It has corrupted the whole society. Our police is corrupted in this matter. Our military is being corrupted. So military officers, senior military officers I've spoken to, have been worried about the attempt to even get their people back in there because they are scared they will also lose their military. Because people go there, the early days they are fighting. Then the next minute, the next thing you see is that now the military people also joined the Galamsey business because of the money in there. We have corrupted and warped our whole society. You speak to somebody in the Galamsey area, and he's not telling you that his life has advanced because now he's drinking bottled water, and he doesn't need to drink water from his river anymore. Can you see the nonsense inside? Yeah. You see, so I'm telling you, this thing is an existential matter. We have broken down the structures of our society. It needs proper leadership, and that leadership must come from a president who must lead it and charge it whip up all the institutions and be at the forefront of the advocacy and not be talking partisan politics. Why did it take them? Well, sorry, I'm very sorry, but this is really annoying. Look, almost 1 month to come back to labor. You issue a statement when? 24 hours before the deadline. You should have been negotiating a position, coming to a conclusion way a week before. So you all would have come up with one position and one communication. You have a structure on how you are even deploying it. Before that deadline, there should have been proper deployment to even give previously organized labor proper comfort to even say they'll suspend their strike. Nothing happened. You issue one statement, go and call people into the room and tell them to come and do what? Are we children?
If I may just add, you see, when we see the color of the water, we all get emotional about it. But the danger we face is not really the color. Look, the heavy metals embedded in the water are far more dangerous. So when you can see a clear water, but the amount of arsenic, cyanide, mercury, lead, and chromium that's in there is far more, and that is where the problem lies. So you getting a clear water is no indication of quality. And that point must be made. And we should be worried not just about the color, but what is in there.
That's and you see, there's a clear leadership failure which has to be acknowledged and admitted. You are a member of parliament.
Yes.
I'm coming. You have put your own measures in place to deal with this matter. So, if the president wanted to fight this head on, you are an MP. You are winning the war in your constituency. Couldn't the president have done something different than
well, all of us could have done something better, including the president. And I acknowledge the fact that we haven't managed the situation as well as we would have thought. And when I say all of us, it is the president's responsibility under the Constitution to ensure that the country is governed well. So that one, I agree with you. But it is also our responsibility, even as parliamentarians, to ensure that we also perform to, if I call the attention of the president to do that which he ought to do. It is also our responsibility as parliamentarians to ensure that these licenses are not given at random the way it is being done without going through the appropriate laws. It is also our responsibility as traditional authorities not to condone and connive with the perpetrators of this crime. It is also our responsibility as community together to ensure that these criminals don't have their way. And it is also our responsibility as a country, Ghana, to make sure that the laws of the country are respected and obeyed. Having said all that, I think the president is also coming out with, albeit late, with solution mechanisms. And I also see some videos of politicians taking positions that are confusing.
No, I mean, they are unnecessary.
Very unnecessary and confusing. But I agree with my brother who says that it is a national fight. I see, in fact, we are not agitating for a ban on mining. Let's get that one straight. We are not agitating because necessarily the minerals of the country ought to be mined responsibly and legally. But what we are saying is that mining in the forest areas and the law, we have all attacked the law, and I'm sure that it will be annulled soon. But in the water bodies, there can't be any compromise. So whatever, I see people in the water bodies.
Forest reserves.
Yes.
I keep saying that everybody forgets that there's forest reserves.
I said that I know that the law will be repealed pretty soon because all of us are in agreement as to the repeal of the law.
That LI 2462, what was running through the minds of the MPs who approved this in Parliament? Is it one of the bills that came in on the last day?
Let's explain. Let's explain this. We'll get there and explain. And indeed, we must also accept culpability for not being that vigilant at that point. But when we get there, we'll talk about it again and talk about the absence of independence in the House. You see, the Parliament and all parliaments from the Fourth Republic up to now, they are all not independent because we have a parliamentary system that calls for whipping of parliaments into members into positions. That must go away. Parliament must be parliament as an independent institution so that anything comes to us we as parliamentarians will add value to what is there, not be creeped into taking a position that is almost like the position of the executive. It is wrong. It comes because leadership of parliament is selected by the executive. Yeah, and when such persons are selected, they are doing their master's bid. Let parliamentarians elect our own leaders so that we will stand as parliament and be able to vet whatever comes from the executive, and that we will collectively act to protect the people of Ghana. But the way it is, you blame parliamentarians, but it is the system. Wow. And again, going forward, I will advocate that our constitution is sick. Let's cure it. The constitution that consolidates power into one person's hand cannot be a good constitution. Yeah. And indeed, everybody who goes to law school, the first thing you will learn is constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is simply distribution of power, not aggregation of power into a center. That is wrong. So this, our constitution is sick. I hear people talk about constitutional review, and they're talking about even bringing the presidential term into some situation where somebody can, you see, let's be bold and say that this constitution, executive presidency hasn't served as well as Ghanaians. And therefore, any African who has absolute authority to do anything becomes despotic.
You are 100% right.
And therefore, let's work on that. I have talked about the law, I've talked about the constitution, the provisions, I've talked about parliament, the independence. For 8 years. I've talked about the risk of the constitution. I've talked about even the core constitution.
Yes.
And I've talked about an attempt to review the constitution. And they are wrong in looking at wrong areas. Okay. The major area that needs to be looked at is the presidency itself.
Exactly. But that's the heart of
and unfortunately, we are not even addressing our minds to that.
All right.
And any one of us who will say this, you are always in trouble. I know that I'm in trouble, but I don't mind.
Well, God bless you. God bless you. You're a good man.
You see,
you've been my president for
so for now, let us all act as Ghanaians. The thing that confronts us is war. In a war situation, we don't look at relationships. We look at how to save the country. And we are there now at a war front. And let not anybody attempt to take credit for where credit is not due. And let's all see ourselves as facing danger. And let's fight together and win the war. Thank you.
Andy Apiakobe is member of Parliament, and I'll come to you, Honorable Dafiankwa. You see, yes, I understand there's a systemic problem and so on. It comes down to you. You are my representative, you members of Parliament. I know that there are a number of things that goes on, especially on the last day of sitting, where because you sit for so long into the night, that's when some of these questionable and dubious deals happen on the floor because you are tired, you don't even have time to read through some of the documents in the bill, and then you approve all sorts of things. You approve all sorts of things on the last day. This LI 2462 that allowed companies to get into forest reserves to go and mine, and you call it protection of forest. That's the name you give to the law. The irony of it.
Please, say the name again.
The protection of forests. LI 2462. And you approved it. Parliament approved it. Now, there's reasoning to have it revoked. So what was your consideration in approving that LI 2462?
Oganse, thank you for this question. But give me opportunity to also deal with the organized labor matter.
Yes, you do.
I think the conduct of organized labor, and with all due respect to my venerable senior Austin Garment, who is an authority in this area, it's a betrayal of the public trust.
That's true, 100%.
And you see, when it is about we politicians, they say we are corrupt. What organized labor has done to the people of this country is worse than corruption. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I'll reframe.
Maybe you should put it for this.
What the leadership of organized labor has done to the organized youth of this country, who first of all took the matters into their hands to say that the failure of the security agencies to deal with this matter And Okanse, listen to how much within the past 4 years, listen to how much the state, through parliament, has spent on anti-Galamsey fight programs.
I see.
It's nearly $1 billion.
Nearly $1 billion.
Nearly $1 billion. That is what we are not interrogating. This government, it's not as if this government hasn't fashioned programs to supposedly fight Galamsey. They have. We have had
nearly $1 billion cedis.
Yes. It's actually 933 million Ghana cedis. And I'll give you all the figures from all the budgets from 2020. In fact, we have had Operation Vanguard, which was supposed to have been a program to combat the menace of Galamsey. It failed. They took so much money. Again, they came back and said, oh, Operation Vanguard failed, so they want Operation Galam Stop, if you recall.
Yeah.
Another joint military operation with the police and security agencies. They took millions of Ghana cedis. They came to Parliament. Parliament approved of it. It failed. Then they came by and said, oh, all these programs are failing, so now they want a 64-member interministerial committee made up of ministers and some entities, government appointees. They also took so much money. They cannot account for the money, and yet the efforts to combat Galamsey was worsening. Then they came back to do what they call Operation Galam Stop Phase 2. So if you check the budgets within the past 4 years, if you put the figures together, it's nearly $1 billion. So when the Venerable Austin government spoke about accountability on the part of the executive, this is one of them. We have spent, we have sunk so much money. This is what is shocking the conscience of the people. You've asked for money as the government, as the executive government, to deal with this menace we all acknowledge exists. You came for the money. You have spent the money. In fact, in some of those operations, you told us publicly that you were brought to central Accra, to metropolitan Accra, over 500 excavators, assembled them, paraded them, and took them to an area in Adenta called Aviation Land. Today, as we speak, we can't find the excavators. You are unable to account for excavators that has monstrous earth-moving equipment. They have all vanished. I hear we only have about 45 that are disabled, so they are sitting there.
I was there. I will show you the video.
That they are disabled. They are non-functional. So
we are raising budgets to go and buy excavators for this assembly.
So this is the history of the matter, and it's not as if Galamsey has not been with us for decades. In fact, as far back as 1986, Terry Rawlings and his government set up what we call the Minerals Commission, and with Executive Secretary Professor Akil Akpasoya, with PNDC Law 154. In 1989, they saw the need to incorporate small-scale mining into mining operations. So they promulgated what is called the PNDC Law 218 and brought about regulating small-scale mining operations. Those were the days when we were secondary school, you hear Galamsey. That's why they ask you in geography, you know, write a short note on Galamsey, those things. So we have always had Galamsey. The issue we speak of is the inability of this government to deal with the matter. Regulation have always existed. When you talk of PNDC law 154 and 218, in 93, when we joined constitutional rule, we repealed 154 and created Act 450 to set up the Minerals Commission properly under constitutional rule. It gave them mandate. Now, under the mandate, we followed it up, the Minerals and Mining Act in 2006 under President Kufuor, and actually mandated the Minerals Commission under Section 100 to be so powerful. We amended it with 995 in just 2019 to actually now have a manual for community mining, which is an euphemism for small-scale mining, to properly regulate it, and because There are plethora of articles on small-scale mining, how beneficial it is for communities that are located in these areas. So regulation. We have tons of regulation on the matter. It is the inability of those who are entrusted with the exercise of executive powers of state to act, even though they've been given so much money. Recently, we've signed on to, you've heard of this climate change and all this. With so much money is coming in to combat climate change matters. Galamsey is one of them. Environmental degradation is one facet of combating climate change matters. If you check our budget, within the past 5 years, we've spent so much. Now we do Green Ghana. Do you know Green Ghana? Yeah, do you know it's part of the anti-Galamsey fight? That is when the degraded environment is reclaimed, we plant trees. It's all part of the effort.
And we use our money to do that.
Well, yes, we spend money. We receive a lot of money from the budget to do that. We are getting funding from the international community to do that. We receive a lot of grants, actually. We have a program called
the logical orientation in this country.
Yes, we have a program called Alternative Livelihood. We've spent so much money.
Leap.
So the program, the point I am making is that we have to vote out this government.
Oh, that's the politics.
Please, yes, you may say so, but I am giving you a basis.
But this government is going anyway.
I am saying that this government has taken close to $1 billion to fight Galamsey. They cannot account for the money. The Galamsey situation has worsened. Our river bodies, I was born in this country. I know how the Ankobra looks like. I know how the Pra, the Densu, all the major tributaries. I know how the major tributaries that feed the Volta, the mighty Volta Lake, I know how they look like. I know how they look like now. So if somebody who has been entrusted with the exercise of executive powers of state has failed, we should say so.
No, but Nana is not running for government.
All right, no.
So he's already.
I speak a statement that he was putting his presidency on the line because.
How did he put his presidency on the line?
Because
Mahama had failed.
No. When you were speaking, I was quiet.
I am here. Nana has failed. We all agree. Nana has failed.
When you were speaking,
gentlemen.
When you were speaking, I was quiet.
Yes. Proceed with your point.
Yes. When you were speaking, I was quiet.
Okay, proceed.
As far back as 2021, Cecilia Dapa. As far back as 2021, Cecilia Dapa came to Parliament with a statement on the increasing Western situation, the Western situation of the stability of our water bodies, especially water bodies where Ghana Water was drawing its processing water from, and promised. Do you know how much she was giving as a minister to combat that? That money too is gone down the drain.
I agree with him.
You understand? So I am saying, if you look at the history of this matter, there's a failure on the part of the present leadership
in the
to deal with the issue.
Now,
because Galamsey has always been with us.
Okay. Now I want you to the failure of Parliament.
No. So now let's deal with the LI matter.
Yes.
A government wakes up and decides that as part of the solution to combating small-scale mining or unlawful small-scale mining is to actually open up our forest reserves to mining operations. Yes. Then they brought the instrument. And we argued. As a member of the subsidiary legislation, we argued that this instrument cannot pass.
But it has passed.
Yes, it has passed. But I cannot be blamed because
why?
I made my point. Hold on.
It's a collective parliament.
Let me tell you. Under the Constitution in Article 11 Clause 7D, when a minister is empowered to come by regulation to operationalize the law, all that he has to do is to lay the instrument in Parliament and gazette it. After 21 sitting days, it passes. Unless we're able to meet the threshold of 2/3 to annul it. In annulment, and I disagree with the Supreme Court when they held in 2 cases, actually, New Premier versus the Electoral Commission, as well as Stephen O'Kane and others versus the Electoral Commission and another. When they interpreted the regulation as a legislation that Parliament cannot tinker or amend. You can only reject. Because at that time, it is not a regulation, it's a draft instrument.
Yes.
So Parliament ought to have the power as part of its legislative functions. But they interpreted the law. So as we speak, that is the law. But the same constitution in Article 297, I think so, 297D, if the constitution is here, if you can, 297D says that the source of those orders, regulations, and instruments should have the power to annul or repeal or cancel. So the call on Parliament to have anything to do with the repeal of this law is neither here nor there. The law is already settled. If the ministry is minded because of the public outcry regarding that legislation, it is just a matter of annulling it and come to Parliament by notice that the LI 62
2462.
Yeah, 2462 2019 has been repealed.
You see, reason why when you're saying that you cannot be blamed as an individual because you made your point clear. This came before you at the subsidiary legislative committee, even before it went to the plenary.
Interestingly, I am also
you are also a member of the subsidiary. Both of you, the two of you. So really, I'm asking you.
Let me offer some education. Let me offer some education.
Yes.
The education is this. Article 296 C is to this effect. 296. Where in this constitution or in any other law, discretionary power is vested in any person or authority. No, I speak of 297.
297.
Yeah, 297. In this constitution and any other law, where a power is conferred to make any constitutional or statutory instrument, regulation or rule, or pass any resolution to give any direction, the power shall be construed as including the power exercisable in the same manner to amend or to revoke the constitutional or statutory instrument, regulation, rules, or resolution or direction as the case may be. So the Constitution says that if by a statutory provision in an enactment, a minister is enjoined to come to Parliament by regulation within a certain time frame, because these days we place a time frame that within 1 year, you must come by a regulation to operationalize an act. Yeah. When we give you such powers, and you bring an instrument and lay it in Parliament, and after 21 parliamentary sitting days, it passes, it becomes effective with Gazette notification. The Constitution says in Article 297D, Clause D, that the power given to you to make that regulation, it's also implied, it's inherent in the same power that you can also revoke it.
I see.
So you don't
amend it. You also use the word amend.
Yes, amend. Okay. This one, everybody says it should be revoked. Everybody says that law. Cancel.
The law says that we have power to revoke.
So Parliament cannot be. Nobody should call on Parliament that we should come. What is the procedure even by doing that? Unless you want to come by another ally or an enactment, a bill to amend an existing ally. So it's a convoluted procedure.
My question is not about the revocation. I asked a specific question
the education the education is this. The education is this. Where an ally or constitutional instrument is to be enacted, Parliament's role is a conveyor belt.
Meaning it should not be.
Hold on. Parliament's role by the Constitution. No, hold on. Alfred.
Yes.
It's education, so it's important we listen. It's conveyor belt. Parliament is supposed to play no role The only role Parliament is given. Hold on. The only role Parliament is given is to, by a two-thirds majority, annul it. Yes. But you see, what you are annulling is not even a law.
It's not annulling.
You are rejecting. No, the consumer uses annulment.
Parliament cannot reject. You just there. And
we are unable to command the two-thirds majority when you disagree. In this particular airline, when they came, go and check the report. For instance, I said, why, for instance, at that time, if you recall, those were the heady days about the Achimota forest issues. Yeah. Those were the heady days. So I said, we already have issues with Achimota forest, for instance. How can we be called upon as a house to agree to an instrument like this? So people like me are disagreed. Well, but when you cannot command, but when you cannot command 182 members to agree with you, it will pass.
Okay, let's be continuing.
Let me speak for the regular Ghanaian.
No.
You see, you have your word.
Let's explain the situation because it will dovetail into our call for the independence of Parliament. I was the ranking member then, and he was a member. Yeah. It was me and him disagreeing with this ally. Yeah. But unfortunately, because of the whipping system, and indeed, I want to accept the fact that we as parliamentarians, we failed. Because we were not able to impress upon Parliament to reject this ally, although as individuals, me and him, and I remember me and him.
No, we impressed upon Parliament, but we couldn't command them.
No, you are failed. I mean, let's just accept
in the report that we brought to Parliament, after our positions in the committee, in the report that we brought to Parliament, we urged Parliament to accept it. And this is a fact.
You urged Parliament to
accept it? Yes, in the report. In the report. Wrongly though. Nevertheless, we registered our protest all right. But me and him, who are we to influence a decision like that? The senior will tell you. So, listen. And that goes to what I'm complaining about, that Parliament is not independent. And again, if we are whipped, at the end of the day, when the whipping happens, you will go there and you will not vote against the whipping line. You understand? So if somebody says that Parliament is also culpable, we should accept and then use it
like
as a
whipping. Ken must go.
Listen,
not to
listen. Let me end properly. We must accept our fault and use it as a lesson going forward. That let us not be whipped into doing the things that we don't want to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alfred, with your permit, I just need 30 seconds.
Right.
You represent the people, not necessarily the whip. You have a position. Your job is not only in Parliament. You have primarily an advocacy representative role. If you had come out that's what you are doing here today. If you had done that yesterday, Achimota, I was here.
I came here.
When you did, listen, hold on, let me finish. When you did it for Achimota Forest, a lot of us joined the fight. What happened? They put the thing aside. But if you go and just do the thing as a technical formal matter sitting only in Parliament, how do you get the support you need? If you cannot get this, you represent us as citizens. If you cannot get reason, I appreciate with you. I appreciate that. You're my brother on that matter, on the Constitution and all that. But if you can't get cooperation in Parliament because of a whip system, your mandate comes from us, the people. How did you rally us to come and join you in that fight? How did you throw light on the matter that we fight for the protection of that which is right and that which is good? You didn't do much on that front. Yes. So maybe this is also a learning. Yes. If there are things that don't work, you have your personal conviction. We vote for you. We vote for you as MPs. You don't vote your party as MP. You're MP. You are the MP. Okay. So when you go at and far. Well, thank you.
And Mr. Osegaba will have to leave us. I'm going to give him a word on this because, yes, you've acknowledged that Parliament failed the people on this LI 2462. And it is even the name of that LI that irks me the more. Environmental Protection Regulations. Money in Forest Reserve. I don't know how you even came about that name for a law like this. Mr. Game.
Alfred, let me say this. You see, this whole business, let's find a solution now. To me, that's very important now. Because we will drink water again. We are, in fact, still drinking here. So it's about assuring ourselves and the whole nation that there will be an end to something. One, sending the soldiers back to the bush. They started burning excavators and burning chamfans and so forth. That will not be entirely a solution. One, they will leave there soon, and the people will go back into the bush to do it. To me, number one, can we find those who are behind the purchase of these equipments? Yes, we can find them. All these equipments have chassis numbers.
True.
They have numbers on them.
And they're supposed to be.
And they were brought through the harbor. They were brought through the harbor. They have owners. People bought them. We have the list of them. DVLA has custody of these things. Are we saying we cannot find? Perhaps that was the reason why, even recently when I think the flag bearer of NDC held his press conference, he said, they asked him a question. You said you released the people who were put in jail. He said, yes, I will do that again, because this man is the one who financed the buying of the thing and sent the people there. He is left alone. And that he will ensure that those people are the people who should be arrested and prosecuted.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. I suggest, because if I say this, I'll be dictating also like them. So I suggest that those who are going to begin organizing, because I alone I can't do it, I will start my own strike alone now. But that will not be entirely very helpful. We need other people like you. What we need now is to call for suspension of burning of the excavators. Rather, let's evacuate them. That one I'm in sync with organized labor and the CSOs. Let them evacuate them. Let's look at the numbers. Let's find out those behind them and call them to be, let's hold them to be prosecuted. Those are the people to be prosecuted. That's number one. Number two, still let us temporarily put a ban. If moratorium and other things are the difficulties, let's call it temporary ban. Then we call a national conversation meeting on mining. Responsible mining can be done in this country. That's what all the parties are calling for. Responsible mining. And let's stop the blame game. Good. I heard people blaming people. No. I understood that NDC people have gone to bring people from Togo and Burkina Faso to come and mine in the waters. That is the most stupid and ridiculous thing I've ever heard in this country. It is not true and cannot be true. December 7 is tomorrow morning. We'll be voting very soon. Everybody individually should go and decide who to vote for. You want to vote for Dr. Baumia? Go ahead. The consequences, live with it. You want to vote for John Mahama? Go and vote for him. The consequences, you live with it. You want to vote for Alan? Go and vote for him. The consequences, you live with it. That is where we are now. But at this point in time, I want to just bring back my brothers in the organized labor. They should call a meeting almost immediately, apologize to themselves, apologize to the nation, because that was almost our last hope. But the Catholic Church has led the way for them. UTAG has contributed their quota and are still contributing. On my way coming, I heard QTAG, the technical university, saying that they are going to join their colleagues in UTAG to ensure that this thing is done. I teach those doing industrial relations in the University of Ghana now. And I'm saying that this is not the intent of how organized labor was clothed with tremendous power. Tremendous power. And so they should make maximum use of that tremendous power. I manage some of the unions too. And behind the scene, I know how they felt bad about this whole thing. Unlike UTAG that went ahead to continue to do their strike, they couldn't do it because of the character of the essential services that they run. I want to plead with everybody, let's put our partisan cloaks down and let's confront this wicked thing that we are doing to ourselves through the illegality of mining in the waters and in the forest, and all those who are doing it to be made to account for it. If they don't do, and another government come, the same pressure that is on now, the same pressure will be brought to bear on them to ensure that it is done.
The kingpins and the financiers. Mr. Osingame, a labor expert, former minister, and I do appreciate you on this. You would have to leave us. But you see, I think, before you mentioned the excavators around the race junction in Adenta. When Mr. Osingame leaves us, Colonel Professor Abuaje retired. He's a security analyst, going to be joining us. Also, Dr. Jamal Tonzua, who was a former advisor, legal advisor to the Operation Vanguard. That's the first military-led operation by this government to fight illegal mining. He's also going to be joining us because we're moving the conversation next to the measures that have been announced now and as to whether these measures will make any significant impact or otherwise. But I visited this excavator site around the Adenta Race Junction. We counted a number of the excavators. There are numbers there. The residents around that area tell me that the numbers have reduced drastically. So that's what you see there. So sometimes they wake up and they'll see a trailer carrying one excavator away, the other, and the numbers have reduced over the period. Those ones you see there are the ones that have actually been immobilized. So that's what you see on the screen.
The ones that have been what?
Immobilized.
Demobilized.
Yes.
Functional. Okay.
Essential.
The memory.
I was called. Let's see. Maybe sometime. Maybe just before the COVID, or maybe I think maybe 2021. What was this? When did you gather these things?
These are the race, Adenta race.
No, when?
This was in 2021, 2021, 2020, 2021.
Some people called me and tell me they've been given allocations.
They've been given allocations.
Yes. These ones were.
This was in 2019.
At the own time.
Yes, 2019.
Yes, so 2019
thereabouts.
Yes. It's 2019. So I mean, they called me. Because of my farm, my agri-business, and they told me, they say I will need some equipment. And they were offering me 30,000 CDs to come and carry.
30,000?
Yeah.
Come and carry one of the excavators.
Yeah, and I said, Galamsey excavator.
So you see the date,
I beg you the name of
March
God.
2020.
I'm fine where I am.
So the dates are there?
Yeah, 24th March 2020.
Yeah.
So 2019, 2020 operation.
Well, that was after the president was at my farm. So that was in November, I think, in 2019.
Yes.
So it was after. That's when they came now. So in 2020 or 2021, they're about it. Somebody called.
And it was also a topical campaign issue in 2020, if you recall.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I see. So there you have it. Well.
So it's gone. People have used it. Either it's gone back to the system of Galamsey or it is doing some road work. I don't know. Or maybe agribusiness like I was. It was a very non-transparent system.
Well, there you have it. But it's live here on Key Point, also on 3FM 92.7. We're going to go for a quick break. When we're back, we would interrogate the measures that have been announced for this renewed government-led or military-led clampdown on illegal mining. The commander who is leading this Operation Halt 2 has been speaking to the media as well. It says the focus of this phase of the operation is to just make our water bodies cleaner than it looks now. Colonel Professor Abuaje and Dr. Jamal Tonzua are joining us. After this quick break, stay with us. This is Key Point. We'll be back shortly.
In a place where conviction meets compassion, Heritage Christian University College stands tall, shaping futures and societies. Here, creativity isn't just a concept, it's the fuel for social change. But it's not just about entrepreneurship, it's about nurturing a spirit of service and community. We instill in our students the values of leadership and giving back. Our graduates don't just earn degrees, they embody entrepreneurship. philanthropy, ethics, and global competence. Heritage is where innovation thrives amidst a serene environment, offering unparalleled experiences. Come, be part of our journey where creativity and community unite to shape a better tomorrow. Heritage Christian University College, educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Phoenix Club,
uplifting women.
Phoenix Club,
uplifting
women. Phoenix Club,
uplifting women.
Thank you very much for having me here today. The nation builder John Mahama and Professor Nana Jane are bringing you the Women's Development Bank. It is a very special bank run by only women, to serve only women. The aim is to empower millions of women across the country. The bank will have branches all over the nation to provide you with loans with very low interest and on very flexible terms.
Madam, I run a small makeup and nail bar. Do I qualify for a loan?
No need to bother, my sister. I mean hairdressers, market women, women-owned online businesses, female graduates, women in the corporate world, traders, agri, women in all fields qualify for loans. With John Mahama and Professor Nana Jane at the helm, the Ghanaian woman will surely rise.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Do you want to be a star?
The winner of TV3 Mentor Season 12, Bino Ione!
Mentor, the ultimate music reality show, is back.
The journey to finding our biggest musical icon begins this Sunday. We scouted and called for entries, and you submitted in your numbers.
I'm looking for, people that are really authentic.
Voices that can at least sing.
People who have the personality and, of course, the sound.
Who makes it to the big stage?
He ended the end. A lot of people will end.
For me, I don't think he got it.
Tune in this Sunday, 13th October at 8 p.m. as we make our final selection.
Mentor, the Rising Star Edition.
Mentor is brought to you by Napa Foods.
Celebrating our people, our culture, and our peace is the 3 Concert 2024, the Peace Edition. Join us as we pledge to support a peaceful election with the most epic celebration of the different genres that make Ghanaian music truly unique. Join us on the 23rd of November at Good Park behind the Accra Mall with exciting performances from the maestro Kojo Entry, Kofi Kinata, Camino, Darko Vibes, Calvin Boy, and more to be announced. Register for your free ticket by calling 0532 200927. See you on the 23rd of November at Good Park for the 3 Concert, the Peace Edition.
Gentlemen, please. And you're also live here on Key Point, also on 3FM 92.7. Please, we're on also a number of radio stations across the country. We're on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. A number of you sending us your messages. Good morning, Alfred. In fact, the LI 2462 was passed to cover up the forest that was already so much destroyed by Galamsey. What is sad is that leadership is to serve the interests of the people and not self. How come such a leader sits at the comfort of their homes and disrespectfully have this legislation passed, you say? Thank you very much. And also, Mr. Setabloso says, point of correction, the president did not put his presidency on the line. He said he was prepared to, and this is something that I've said before. Setabloso, as a labor expert, thank you so much. This one here says, good morning. Tumiakwa says, Dr. Kenashigbe on your platform told the whole world that Ghana Water Company is using polymer to treat the contaminated water. Consuming water purified with polymer-based membranes may have potential risks, health risks, such as short-term effects, gastrointestinal upset, skin irritation, respiratory issues, headaches, fatigue. Long-term, increased cancer risk, reproductive problems, neurological damage, immune system suppression, kidney damages. To minimize the risk, choose reputable water purification systems to maintain regular maintenance and monitor water quality. This is coming from a doctor, Tumi Akwa. Thank you. This one here from Plateau says, those saying the fight against Galamsey is a collective fight, ask them if the thousands of mining permits granted by this government was a collective decision by Ghanaians. Government has what it takes to stop Galamsey, but because of party Hiansika, you say, this is not happening. Good morning, Alfred. I think Honorable Apia Kubi deserves the order of the voter. The only problem is that the Kufuado, it says, and the party he belongs to are still in power. And since his fight against Galamsey is against their position, he won't get that award. He should extend his bravery to advocate for, it says, a new Ghana. Thanks, the Evans, Ibn, Samba, Laura in the Upper West region. It says, good morning, Alfred. Kindly ask Lawyer Martin Pebo and Senor Hosi if the key of the police vehicle, okay, says that was stolen, it says was removed by Vomawa. I think we moved on that matter. We have never heard them publicly condemn this act. I think you've not been listening. People has commented on this before, to be honest, and I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. You can go to that edition and also look at that. And this one here says, I think it's not all excavator owners who do Galamsey. I have been working in an area where Galamsey is seriously going on, and I asked them who owns the excavator, and they said they came together to go and hire it for a day or two. So if Honorable Apia Kubi is saying those doing the Galamsey are not the owners of the excavators, that's true, but they are also liable.
Yes.
Excavators are abundant and can be hired anytime, just like going to hire a caterpillar to come and grade your road for you. You'll say, thank you very much. Okay, quite a number of them. I acknowledge the 1,263 of your messages come to Lawyer Martin. People will have a take on this. On this TUC, you also feel disappointed, or they still have their right to have their position heard. But let me welcome Dr. Jamal Tonswa. He's a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School, also the former legal advisor to Operation Vanguard. Doc, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred. Thank you for involving me in this discussion. Good morning to my uncle and senior, Mr. Pebu, and then my seniors at the bar as well, Dr. Yamepo, Honorable Apia Kubi. It's nice to meet you on this platform and on this topic again.
Perfect.
I am inspired by Senyor's, his approach of speaking truth to power. He's dropped a lot of, pearls of wisdom that I think we should pick up and run with.
Let me also acknowledge Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired. He's joining us on Zoom. Colonel, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Good morning. My regards to all the great men in the studio. But I don't see any strong woman there.
We would definitely would have one. They are carrying us. I thank you. Thank you so much for the patience to join us.
Yes.
Counsel.
Okay. Yeah, so to start with, once again, let's allow the Accra Archdiocese of the Catholic Church for the demo, though also called prayer walk. Yeah, so we're expecting that the other regions where there's Galamsey, Ashanti, Cape Coast, etc., right? Central region and the Western North, all those archdioceses, I think the bishops should follow suit. Because we need a sustained effort, sustained one, right, to be able to fight this menace. Yeah, that's by way of prelims. Now, you're asking about TUC.
You also feel disappointed?
Disappointed is an understatement. Yeah, disappointed is an understatement. It's a betrayal of the public trust. Is that what Senor said? Yeah, the rest of the panelists. We give you power, and then you use it for your personal aggrandizement. Look, Jampo called me 5:30 a.m. this morning to reiterate his point, and that that way is easier.
Yes.
So that if you want to go into it, you can. He will come and testify. Look at the thing. Isaac Bampo and Joshua Ansah walked into the meeting with a typed script, a typed script suspending the demonstration. They had already signed. Please, let's place all emphasis on this. Mr. Kansi, we are all panelists here. Let's assume that we are supposed to be the TUC meeting. You and Dr. Harrison come into the meeting with a typed script that you've already signed, saying that the meeting, the demonstration is suspended, the strike is suspended.
And the objective of the meeting was to discuss whether or not to call the strike.
That is it. So that sums up the whole thing. It sums up the whole thing. I'm like, is that Bampo? Bampo, who usually is guns blazing, yeah, firebrand. I'm surprised that Bampo would do this.
It's not a charade.
Yeah, it's just a complete betrayal. Whilst I was away, so what were the strongest terms you guys used? Because they betrayal of the public. No, I mean, it's good to repeat other terms that other panelists have used. So I say, what did you say? I hear there was fire.
Like your bomb. Your bomb is what we are looking for.
Today, my answer is more about bail reforms, of course. Yeah. Okay, yes. Since I know that you guys will take on the...
Unfortunately, I didn't have a bite with
the bail reforms. Okay, yes. So, you see, look, and... so with this, complete betrayal of the public trust. So you heard what Osengame said, that they should apologize. Bampo and Joshua Ansah, they can't continue to do this.
They should resign.
Yeah. How? You come into a meeting.
They should resign.
Bampo
and Joshua, resign and save the institution. I mean, just that
where is this that?
The TUC is not what it used to be. Because the workers should rally and get these people out.
Yeah. So you see what they we locally say in Chi that Nyami on Peboni. So you see that they had already typed it and they mistakenly pulled it out, and it showed that they had already signed. So Bampo and Joshua Ansah, I think I support the call that they should leave. I think maybe Bampo is tired. Oh, in years past, look, it was exciting to hear Bampo. When Isaac Bampo talks, I'm like, this man, maybe he should be voted president. Hey!
I beg you.
Yes, those days, no, you know, the way we are timid as men, when you hear Bampo talk, then you're like, or no, like Samson Ladi, like that kind of this. So I always like Bampo. But the way Bampo, no. I think Bampo is spent now. He's spent. He should go. He should go because this is so disgraceful. It's so embarrassing. You go into a meeting with the statement already signed by Bampo. Yes,
on the
with
software you
Bampo and Joshua Ansah. That's what Jampo is saying. That is Jampo's pain. And that is all of us, our pain. That Bampo, Isaac Bampo, that's the head of the CLOSAC, the executive secretary, right? And Joshua Ansah, TUC general secretary. They've sold us short. They've sold us short, and so they have to exit. Joshua Ansah even looks frail. Joshua Ansah is not physically, he doesn't look the part. When it comes to the optics, you're like, why is this old man looking frail like that leading TUC? He doesn't even look like he has a stomach for a fight. No, he doesn't look physically like he has a stomach for a fight. So he doesn't look the part. You know, there's the optics. When you see your Secretary General, you should be looking enthusiastic, energetic. Ansah looks frail. So I'm not surprised he's chickening out. He doesn't look the part. You see, the optics also count. You remember those days, people would look at JJ's picture and say, they'll vote for him, the red man, he's handsome, those kind. Yes, there's that part. When you look at Ansah, physically, he doesn't look the part. He doesn't have the stomach for a fight. You need a stomach for a fight. Because how do you go into a meeting? You are supposed to sit with your colleagues and decide. If not yet decided, then you go in with a typed script, signed, sealed, and delivered.
For the record, they had met a government team, which they never disclosed who was there and who was not there.
Thank you.
So only a few of them had gone to meet the government team the day before.
Yes.
And that is why they had taken the position that they had taken.
Thank you.
That has been made clear.
So that is where the allegation of compromise is coming. And please, I will buy into it. Look, when we say compromise, yes, we didn't see any money exchange hands. But when we say compromise, it's not always about money. It can be friendship. Because are you aware that the chairman of the TUC is friends with Napo? So they will call him Napo's boy. Yes, ask those who know the labor system.
So, I know Bernard very well.
They can call him Napo's boy.
No, but Bernard, he works in the energy sector, so he keeps a relationship with everybody. But for me, I know he's a very principled guy. He's on this. He's part of the Ghana coalition against Galamsey.
I see.
His position is not different from what I think I.
So his position is not consistent with the leadership of TUC.
I don't think so. But I don't know. I don't know what happened.
You are the chairman of the TUC, and at that meeting, he was one of those who were impressing that we should accept that prepared speech.
But you can't. You see, forgive me, one. The fundamental problem here has to do with the issues of trust. Exactly. Now, if you've had a meeting, and organized labor right now, you have three key factions. So
definitely have to come back to the plenary and have consensus on the way forward. To go to a meeting with a typed, printed, it's okay to draft something because from what you've heard, you think that this is likely the reasonable path to take. So you can draft something. I don't think we should be granted for drafting something. But when you print, it means it's final. Because you sign, it's final. Then what's the conversation for? That's a total betrayal of trust. And there's one person you are also missing out in all this conversation. It's the GME.
Yes,
they are supposed to be more responsible about this matter. You know, and I'm very disappointed in their positioning. They issued a statement on their own. They didn't issue it on the back of organized labor. And they actually held a position. And they are the ones who are at the forefront of the medical and health consequences of the failings with the management of Galamsey. But for them to also have managed things the way they did, that was really another big betrayal of trust.
Let's add the National Midwives Council, because they issued a statement saying they were not going to join organizations.
Well, they said they have their independent, their autonomy, is it not?
Okay, so continuing. Yes, I was coming to the GMA. The GMA too has led us down. The Ghana Medical Association, Frank Srebwo. Look, you go down in history as a villain, a big villain. Yeah, because doctors know it better than us about the effects of this Galamsey. Did you hear? You see, please, are you following the narrative, or even not narrative, the statement by Ghana Water that the treatment they do doesn't take out metals? So, please, are we getting you? Followed it? That when they treat the water, they are not taking out the metals. So the mercury, the lead, those ones that are going to give us a kidney issue and are already giving us a kidney problems, renal problems, etc. They don't take it out. We all accept that.
No, I thought that is what it is. You see, apart from reverse osmosis, which is able to remove all the ions in there, and which is not economically viable, there's no means of removing the metals.
Thank you.
So they persist in there. So that's why I said that water being clear doesn't mean it's safe.
Thank you.
And we should make that point.
So please, let's keep repeating that point, that this our water that has been treated. They've not removed any mercury. They've not removed lead. Mr. Kansi showed the Densu, that's the water that has come from Densu up to the Wager Dam. You see the color. It's coming from Etiwa.
Exactly.
Galamsey in Etiwa. So we are being poisoned, citizens. We are being poisoned. So this thing is not about party colors. We are being poisoned. And you have a GMA, Ghana Medical Association, do this for us. I don't know what Frank Srebwo is thinking. I don't know what he's thinking. Please. And I'm sure Festus will come in. Kenneth Abwaji will come. But yesterday I heard him on this because I still have the floor. I want to add one statement on that. He mentioned the number of military being 100. They deployed this. Please, I want to call on the president. They should deploy more police. We don't want, the military, they've told us that they shoot to kill. Please, this shoot to kill thing, let's be careful. You see, if we are not careful, we are going to end up with the cure being worse than the disease. Remember in election 2020, we killed 8 citizens. It's still a big matter on the head of the president. If we encourage the way we are angry, we keep goading the military, goading them, they will kill citizens. And then before you realize, a lot will turn out to be innocent. So I think we should bring in the police. Bring down Paré and his people. Yohunu that we've been talking about. Yohunu is a master tactician when it comes to operations. So they should let Yohunu lead. Yes, I'm aware Dan Paré is fighting Yohunu. Please, they should stop that fight. Everybody agrees that in the police service, Yohunu is a master of operations. Dan Paré, give Yohunu a lead role in this. Let us put in more policemen. We don't want military killing our citizens. Enough of the Techiman North and those killings in the election 2020. We've not resolved that. So we don't want more killings. No more killings.
10 o'clock. Professor Sabaje, and on the back of what Matik Bebo has just said, you've seen the measures as outlined or announced this week. I mean, how far-reaching are they? And because of the increasing existential threat that we are faced with, will this bring the immediate and needed solution that we're talking about now?
Okay, once again, thanks for having me, and my sincere regards to the great men in the studio. I've answered this question a few times on other channels, and my straightforward answer is that the approach of the government to start with has not been decisive. It has not addressed the realities of the impact of Galamsey on all fronts. And it has certainly not addressed the concerns of a number of stakeholders, including, the organized labor and so on. That's a broad statement. Let me pick on this issue of shooting to kill that I believe has been attributed to the gentleman called Joe Wise, whom I think is an MP. And then another MPP commentator, a female that I, seen several times on, your Good Morning show, TV3. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a very ill-informed rhetoric. First of all, in any conflict of a warlike nature, there are rules. And they originate from the 1949 Geneva Conventions that otherwise called the laws of armed conflict. And one principle that everybody who goes through military training is told is that you never shoot an enemy, a combatant, who is not in a position to defend themselves. So for instance, when a parachuter is parachuting down, you don't shoot them whilst they are still in the sky. You wait for them to land, remove the harness, recover their weapons before you can engage them. So the idea that Joe Wise is saying that when people jump into the rivers from the Chamfans, they should be shot. That is against international law. And I want to believe that we claim that we are, Democrats and so on. But the moral side of this argument is that in that studio, references have been made to bigwigs, the main people behind Galamsey. And they are not those Goro boys covered in mud that we see on TV. They are party people, they are financiers, they are this, they are that. Now, if you want to kill, then we must investigate which of these elements have violated our laws. Shoot them first, and then we go and shoot, if you like, the Goro boys in the mud. Let me quickly come to, the government's effort so far. First of all, Ghanaians must understand that Kwame Nkrumah left us with 6 battalions. They are still in place. And then we've added many more, about 10 of them, some of which existed at the time that Nkrumah also was there. So we're talking about 16 units. Now, each battalion minimum has 3 companies, or supposed to have 3 companies. A company is 120 officers and men. So that 100 men and women that the armed forces deployed upon the directives of the president to Atiwa is less than 1/3 of the combat force of a battalion. And minimum we have 16 of them. Now, if indeed we are fighting a war, which I think was the rhetoric that my honorable member from Asante Achim North used, we're encircled on all fronts, on all our flanks, from the west to the east to the north. But currently we are told that the Volta is also being contaminated from the white and black voters, as well as from the Afram Plains or Afram River. So you don't fight that war with a company of troops. Again, how many rivers do we have, or how many rivers are we talking about? Some have said 7. But we can mention the Tano, the Ofin, the Ankobra, the Pra, the Brim, the this, the that. Let's say on the average, each one of these major rivers, excluding their tributaries or including their tributaries, ran a distance of 100 kilometers from the hinterland to the coast. Now you select one, which is the Brim, and then you go to Atiwa with 100 men and say that you are fighting Galamsey. I mean, that is not a decisive action at all. Again, my colleagues in the studio have mentioned that this effort, this war, is one that needs joint operations or combined forces. There is a law and order dimension of this galamsey. That is a function of the police. There's a forestry dimension, there's a minerals and mining dimension, there's an environmental protection dimension. There is a dimension of importing fourth industrial revolution equipment or machinery. So you need the Ghana ports and harbors. There are women who have been trafficked and are being held in some of these galamsey camps. Now we need social welfare, we need gender experts, for instance, to go in. But for the past 8 years, assuming that the government was not doing anything, couldn't it, as we say in conflict analysis, do a mapping of galamsey in Ghana so that before the government put out that one-page directive or whatever we may wish to call it, the government should display that map on TV for us to see the scale, the scope of galamsey impact on the country. And then we'll be able to suggest to him that 100 men moving sequentially from brim, one spot on the brim, not the 50 or 100 kilometer stretch of the brim. You know, we've not talked about Kongo Dumasi, for instance. We've not talked about the Enyinem that has been cited in the studio. We've not talked about the dollar power. I mean, what kind of effort is this? Either the government doesn't appreciate the issue, the existential threat that is confronting Ghana, or it doesn't care, you know, for whatever reasons that you and I can surmise. But let me use one analogy to explain the dilemma that we are faced with, if you may permit me. In 1831, the king of Ashanti was Nana Osei Yao Akoto. Now he wrote, I don't want to use any English word that might probably insult or be an insult to the stew, but he wrote to the British, telling them that the abolition of the slave trade from about 1806, 1807 was jeopardizing the grandeur status of Ashanti. And therefore, the British was being requested to reinstate the slave trade. In 1847, 46, thereabout, the king of Dahomey, granted that there was no Togo and so on at the time, it was called King Gizu. Now, Gizu wrote to the British again and said, look, this slave trade that you have abolished without any substitution is destroying, you know, the status of my Abome stew. Because every year I could sell 8,000 slaves and then earn about $300,000 in 1847. So therefore, reinstate the slave trade. The question I want the government, the question I want the Nananum, that is the House of Chiefs, because I've heard certain pronouncements from government officials and members of the National House of Chiefs, the people of Ghana is, should the British have reinstated the slave trade? And the question now is, because of some dollars that we can get, should we destroy the heritage that our Nananum, you know, left for us over hundreds of years? And in our generation, we want to destroy everything. See, the flippancy of it is that, oh, we'll reclaim the land. What does reclamation mean? When you reclaim the land and fill the holes, do the trees grow to the 100 years that they had been in existence and have the capacity to absorb the carbon in the atmosphere, for instance? The poisons that have gone into the natural habitat. And I think we all went to school and we did some science. Mercury is not destructible. You can't destroy it. So wherever mercury is, it remains in perpetuity. They are going into our systems, our human systems, and people are being born, we are told, and we can't, you know, doubt what Professor Sampene and others are telling us. Deformed babies, some without genitals, some with legs fused together, some with 6 fingers or 4 fingers or what. Is that the kind of heritage that we want? So if we want to partner with the global north who to start with want to obliterate Africa from the face of the earth, then let us help the white man to eliminate us so they'll come and control this land. So I think that the government needs to, show more faith in the effort that is putting in. So far, I don't think this is going to solve the problem. Not because, because the military is not, like Dakamosho said, that peacekeeping is not a job for soldiers, but only soldiers can do it. So in the short term, curbing Galamsey per item 1 of the government's narrative or directive is to deploy security forces to curb it, but sustainably. Soldiers are not the ones to stop Galamsey. We need a few more resources. And I think members in the studio have asked, where is this? Where are the police? Where is our intelligence, for instance? Because some of the Galamseyers are terrorists. National security knows. Some are former fighters from the Civil War, Cote d'Ivoire, in 2011. They are all in Ghana. Some have run away from Niger and wherever. They are all here. They are mining. Is that not an existential national security threat? So deploy 100 soldiers who go day one, couldn't arrest even a fly, because the flies had all run away. And all to do was to destroy 18 chamfans and 10 this, that, and one, let me call it caterpillar, because that's the way that those of us who grew from the village know. One caterpillar. And people are saying that, shouldn't we applaud the government? They should ask themselves whether this effort is the one that will end Galamsey, or whether, as I'm trying to, suggest, we want to be extinguished, from the face of this earth as a people.
Professor Abaje, thank you. And leave us a number of questions that I'll come to Dr. Tonzwa with as well. But please stay with me. And nobody wants to make a quick point on this mercury matter.
Yes. Indeed. I'm happy that Colonel also probably talked on the mercury. I wanted to just call your attention to the fact that before the PNDC Law 218 was enacted to allow for operations in small-scale mining, there was a PNDC Law 217 that affected the use of mercury, prohibited the use of mercury. And therefore, anybody who went into mining under 218 ought to have considered the existence of 217 before engagement.
I see.
I want to leave now, so maybe my concluding statement. Let us not politicize this fight. And I see it, as I told you and Prof endorse it, that this is a war against our nation, our mere existence. Therefore, let's look at it that way. And again, I support the call for an immediate action pursuant to a systematic solution to the problem through other means, including legislation. And I call on Parliament to be responsible to the citizenry. Otherwise, we are also culprits in the failure to fight Galamsey. And then my short exposé on the bail applications and the laws of Ghana. All crimes are bailable by the laws of Ghana. And it has also been determined in the Supreme Court in the case of Martin Pebu versus the Attorney General. And I don't think that judges in Ghana ought to be sentimental in matters before them. They should just follow the law simple. The fact that somebody is on bail doesn't even suggest that that person will be acquitted and discharged. And the fact that somebody is in custody doesn't also mean that that person who will be sentenced will suffer a sentence or anything. So let's all follow the law. In fact, on one breath, you will be seeing somebody as facing the law and you will be using sentiment against that person. The next day, you will be the person facing the law. So let the law be no respecter of persons.
Indeed.
But again, those of us who want to enjoy our rights under the Constitution, particularly the right to demonstrate, should also understand that it comes with a commensurate responsibility to ensure that you even demonstrate lawfully. And this is the education that we have to give to the citizenry. Indeed, the fact that you are expressing your opinion in your demonstration doesn't mean you should also hurt my interest and right in your demonstration. For example, you also come and destroy my property. You don't have any such right. But even when you are a judge and somebody takes your wife and that person comes before you, you are not to use your sentiment. You are to use the law in the application before you. And I left criminal practice because of frustration I was getting in applications for bail. And I don't want others to leave also. Otherwise, we'll be left undefended.
Well, thank you very 17
much.
after 10.
Let's read section 22 of the law. The one that says that it's a crime if you don't report, right? So that you take it along. Please, let me read it just briefly. It says, let me read it briefly. It says that section 22, every person who, knowing that a person designs to commit or is committing a felony, fails to use all reasonable means to prevent the commission or completing thereof, is guilty of a misdemeanor.
Okay.
So that's a duty to prevent. So when you see a crime being committed or about to be committed, you have to report. That's section 22 of Act 29.
Thank you, Lawyer Martin Prebu. 18 after 10. You're still live here on Key Point. Now, on the matter of intelligence, Dr. Tonzua, and having monitored what is happening now, and your inclusion in this conversation is critical because of your association with Operation Vanguard. Somebody says there's a difference between gossip and intelligence. What we see a lot more times is somebody has just gone to say something about Martin Pebu and say that's intelligence. How come that with all this operation, they've not arrested anybody as yet? With all the sites they've gone to, before they get there, the people have fled the site. They just go and destroy chamfans and seize water pumps. What's going on?
A lot of things could be going on. The retired senior officer has already articulated the fact that if you look at the strength of the troops that we've put in there, do we really think that those numbers can actually do the job effectively? And aside that, I think that one of the things, so the military doesn't just get up and deploy. There are some thought processes that they would go through. You want to even ask about where the loyalty of the locals would lie. Is it with those who are causing the threat, or is it with those who are being put there to maintain peace and security? And so what does the analysis even tell them? Your question was on intelligence, but for me to start with, we don't need the military there.
We don't need the military in this
for a long time. I mean, where it has reached now, we need to, if you like, get into the field and then, get suspected illegal miners out of the field. And so the military might be needed for that purpose. But that should just be for the short term. Now, if you ask what is the basis of the mandate of the military in the field, I would say that they are perpetuating an illegality.
The military?
Of course.
Perpetuating an illegality?
Well,
by doing what?
They are there because an operational order probably has said that they should go. That's how the military works. Where did the operational order come from? It came from His Excellency the President, the Commander-in-Chief. What has the operating orders asked them to do? Can whatever instructions they have from operational orders antagonize or, run contrary to constitutional requirements? Are they supposed to shoot people and kill? Are they supposed to violate or, undermine the rights of people's to property? No. And so it is a misunderstanding of the problem. But earlier speakers have said that we either have a situation where leadership is clueless about what is going on or has deliberately refused to respond to the matters as it should. And so, point is this. throughout the conversation, you've heard issues about theft wars. It's unfortunate Honorable Apia Kubi is not with us. He was talking about whether they have a certain mandate or the Minerals Commission has that mandate. We've heard Honorable Dafia Mekpo say that the Minerals Commission would need some helicopters also. So logistics.
I'm saying that
you've heard how much money has been committed to the interventions. A lot of questions must be asked there. How are state institutions, of course, you've also heard about Parliament's failure and how maybe irresponsible Parliament has been, in the words of the parliamentarian. And so, all this hints to a very basic point that we are having a governance crisis. And at the heart of that crisis has to do with institutional problems and lack of political will. If we do not frame the problem as such, there is no way we would have responsive interventions that would address the matters. And so lack of political commitment, I'll tell you what, from the field, and you can do any empirical research and find this out. When you deploy troops, the troops are usually selective. The troops are meant to undo your political opponents. And so even within the mining community, they know among themselves which miners are from which side of the political divide. And military officers, and they know it, and that's why some of them are reluctant and very reserved about their inclusion in this. They are sometimes given very specific instructions as to what to do. Or if they hit at the wrong places, you would find how such situations of such swoops are addressed in terms of the people arrested, in terms of how they manage exhibits and so on. And so it's a charade, as someone has said.
But you addressed concerns about the military's involvement in this and how that, in your view, could impact on or dent the image of the military. Why is that?
Just Google it and see. Maybe just keywords would just be armed robbery, maybe Operation Vanguard, maybe military. In Ayamfuri, you've had situations where military persons who were in military uniform had gone to conduct robbery and they were caught by the civil police. You have had situations where military operatives from the Flagstaff House with Land Cruisers belonging to the state have gone to extort from mining sites.
That's true.
Erastus Asaridonko's documentary has revealed that when journalists visited Apapaman, they saw military elements on the mining site. And I can tell you that there are situations of blue on blue. What it means is that you would go as a military force to conduct an operation, and you would find another set of military people, and you may have a clash. And it's very curious because for a swoop to be conducted on the basis of intelligence, and for you to take about 6 hours to get to a mining site, kind of lay ambush, strategically wait and, charge upon illegal miners, and the very moment that you finish cleaning up the crime scene, Land Cruisers arrive with persons in military uniform who are actual military officers with double magazines, and they tell you those are national security folks. This is a joke. And I feel very sad coming from that background. I am very proud of my military heritage. It is an institution that I will defend any day and every time. But I'm also ashamed that our commanders have been they've allowed themselves to be manipulated by politicians. And Alfred, there are certain occurrences that has escaped the public's scrutiny. In recent times, how many generals have been appointed as ambassadors just when they retire? How many chief of defense staff have become ambassadors? Let's read in between the lines and ask questions. That we expect you to be tired after a very stressful job as a chief of defense staff, maybe 30 years, 40 years. Senor, and you finish, and there's a reward for you.
No, so we are being guided on that particular one. I agree with you with almost everything you said, but on this particular one, I've been privileged to query it a bit before.
Okay.
And it's one of the decisions. The military role is a very important one. So you really want this man out of your system for a while. It's part of our democracy, strategic democracy security management system. I see. So ideally, you move the CDSs out of the system for a while. I mean, that's been the reason. It's not for a reward.
You know what? Okay. Every citizen must defend and uphold the Constitution. Agreed. More so military officers. If you, after serving in the military for decades, would soon forget that you must defend and uphold the Constitution and the order established under the Constitution, then we must really question whether you were a military officer.
Wrong, but I'm saying that it's a policy position that they find comfortable.
And I like
it's
that.
It's not that it's necessary.
Senor, I like that.
Yes.
And this is a very important point. So policies must be mounted on evidence and data.
Agreed.
Where is the evidence that justifies that is a sound policy?
The fear of red boy has in
no, but
okay.
Why are you afraid of military?
Look, let's not digress because it's very, very
important. You see.
So an incentive structure is being created unconsciously, and I'm not hitting the military commanders on this, not at all. It's a very objective and a logical point that if you are a senior officer or just an officer and you're watching what is going on, probably if you are a good boy, one day you'll be rewarded politically. That makes you vulnerable to political manipulations.
Okay,
just for a little guidance, it's a situation that exists. He's a military person. Beyond a certain level, almost every beyond a certain level in your ranking, almost everything else that happens is significantly political.
Yeah.
So for you to be appointed as a general, it is a pure discretion of a political authority. There's a technical bit to it, but there's that political discretion that can deprive you of ever being one. So that risk is not a risk driven by post-service. It's a risk that is within the service time. It's part of our recommendations on the reforms that we need in our constitution.
There are many ways of thinking about that. Then it means that when we have recalcitrant men and officers, we shouldn't even dismiss them. They've been given training on weapon handling and all that. They know tactics. Then we should just continue keeping them within the military, because when we put them out, they will be dangerous to the society. So look, it's neither here nor there. I think that policies must be mounted on sound evidential kind of basis.
The other day I was speaking to Dr. Nyawo Tamaklo, and I'll bring in this question will go to both of you. That's Colonel Festus Abaje retired, and then also to you, that's Dr. Jamal Tozwa. There's that belief that if the military is giving, quote unquote, the free hand to work, they can end Galamsey within a week. Is it one that you believe that that free hand is needed and that can be done within a week? But because there's a regimented approach to this, controlled by somebody somewhere, they cannot do this within that period that we're even looking at?
Yes, I think so, and it feeds into the earlier statements. But my thesis is that there are two things at the heart of this problem: lack of political will and commitment to undoing the problem, and secondly, structural institutional problems where institutions are not well resourced or they are not well coordinated, and so those are the two things. So the question that you have asked, the part that it has to do with lack of, it has to do with both, actually. Okay. So with the military, the way these operations would work is that you would have even public information officers, you would have, health officers who would go with the teams, those who would do the actual work, and then legal officer. Question is this: what is the end goal? Are we just interested in getting into the field and then pulling out suspected illegal miners? No. We want to ensure deterrence. We want to ensure accountability. We want to prosecute our soldiers trained in evidence gathering. Our soldiers go in to do the prosecution. And in fact, the military is capable of doing that. And when I was legal officer, you know, one of the limitations we had was that we didn't have audience in court as legal officers of the military. Now, you only need a fiat, which can be written on even just any piece of paper, just an authorization from the Attorney General to authorize you to prosecute.
I see.
We advocated for this, we never had it. But the point is that if you are part of the operations that led to the arrests, the immobilization of equipment, the gathering of exhibits and evidence, you are in a better position to prosecute these things and have a high chance of success. In any case, so that's one thing about prosecution, evidence gathering to start with. I mean, so we don't necessarily say, and there's some confusion that you should clear. The presidency says they've established or they've appointed 4 courts, but organized labor said 7 circuit courts and 7 circuit courts and 7 district courts. Yeah, organized labor is even doing the work more than the presidency is doing the work. And that's really interesting. But which courts are you taking them to? And what is or are the backgrounds of the judges in terms of even training? Now, the human resource capacity of these courts, and I can tell you that in mining hotspots like Bekwai, Obuasi, Dunkwonofin, Chechere, you had only 1 judge at the time. I was a legal officer who was sitting in all these courts. How can such a judge be effective? Now, put that aside, you have instances where arrests will be made, you know, prosecutions begin, and one of the things that you would see is one day someone walks to court and says that there is a letter from the Attorney General's department saying there was a petition to the Attorney General's office and that people were just bystanders and they were not mining, and therefore Attorney General should act. So Attorney General calls for the docket, and that ends the matter. Right. But there is evidence in terms of pictures and videos and even direct and testimonial evidence that can pin these people down. So you find that the military's elements, the police elements, the courts, and even institutions that could also help in the evidence gathering and strengthening, like the Minerals Commission, Water Resources Commission, Immigration Service, would not be in the loop. So how do you even fight this, expand the charges in a way that would get people who were actually convicted?
And then I have to go to
and so those are structural institutional problems and lack of political will on the part of government to fight this.
Yeah. Yes. I think that the nature of deployment that really makes this a charade. It's just to appease, you know, the general public. Oh, we are doing something. Because if you really are interested in fighting, you know, the situation, then in the deployment you make sure that you have covered all these areas and that people there will be the right evidence. The people are going to be arrested and prosecuted accordingly. But you see, do something for the optics because organized labor. You know, is saying something, and that is where we were totally in disagreement with leadership of organized labor because by just announcing these things without the structures, without making sure that everything is going to go according to plan, it wouldn't solve the problem.
Okay, for a point. Now, I want us to hear the commander of this Operation Halt 2, who has been talking and then also explaining their mandate, what exactly they're supposed to do in this phase of it. Colonel Eric Tenadu is a commander of the Operation Halt 2, Tenadu, who has been explaining that their main focus is to ensure that the river bodies are rid of these illegal mining, and then also to ensure that we have our water bodies cleaner than they look now. That's the focus for this first phase. Take a look.
18 champagnes that were on the water bodies, and then about 10 machines, water pumping machines also on the water bodies. This is an effort to help bring back the color of our water bodies, and so it will continue. Just like I said, today is the first day, tomorrow will continue, but then I'm unable to tell you where we are going tomorrow. When it's time, I'll let you know, but for now all that I can say is that we are going to all the water bodies. And we have started from Brim. Tomorrow, we'll go to another location. And then we'll continue until we cover all the water bodies in the country. And hopefully, we want to see a change in the color of our water bodies. Operation Hall 2 comprises water bodies and the forest. Okay. Basically, it's about anti-illegal mining activities. And wherever that activity is going on, we are supposed to act on it. But for now, the directive and the instructions we have for this first phase is on water bodies. Okay. Strictly on water bodies for now. And then after this phase, maybe the next phase, I don't know yet. If we are directed to go into the forest, then we are going to the forest. But for this first phase, it's on the water bodies. Well, for now, so like I said, this is the first phase. So the first phase is 2 weeks. Maybe after that, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, until all the water bodies are covered.
So that's the leader of Operation Hall 2 said they don't know the full scale of the operation as yet, because you heard him say they don't know, he doesn't know yet what's going to be the next step. Senor?
Senor, before you come in,
in 30 seconds. I know
you don't worry. Before Senor comes in, I can tell you that the officer doesn't believe what he's saying.
The officer?
No, he doesn't believe what he's saying.
Oh,
that is Colonel Tenedu. Colonel Tenedu was the commanding officer of the 3rd Battalion of Infantry. I was at the 3rd Battalion of Infantry for my regimentals, and he was second in command at some point. He definitely knows, and there's an MIO, that's an intelligence office, and there's an intelligence officer. One of the deployments the 3rd Battalion of Infantry does is on Operation Hall duties. So there is nothing new to him. In any case, Colonel Tenedu was also a military attaché to the defense minister. That is where policy is in this country on defense matters.
Thank you.
But on media, before the cameras, he doesn't know, because he's put in that position where he cannot really be himself. And so, please, when those who say we shouldn't politicize it are saying so, they are not saying it in good faith, because it is over and hyper politicized.
Thank you. Senor?
I think that I'll take from there. There are two things. Partisan and politics are not necessarily one and the same. Mm-hmm. Partisanship evolves from politics, but politics is a matter of policy. Policy's house is politics. Just forget it. I'm a lecturer of policy. That is the house of policy. Mm-hmm. So politics would definitely be a critical matter. This is a matter of policy. So you can't say we can't politicize it. But if you say talking about partisan politicization, I can relate to that. So they will look at it from a national character, as I've been saying the whole time. This is a joke. What I just heard is a joke. And the military should stop allowing civilian politicians to put them in and turn them into how do you call that? Those mascots. This nonsense must actually stop. Mr. President, you either want to solve the problem or you don't. Stop fooling us around and trying to pretend to be wanting to solve a problem. What is this? Look at what Colonel Abaji just said. Take the matter one by one. How did the Chanfan come into this town? The excavators, how do they get there? Do they fly? The Mercury, how does it go there? We don't know. You want to tell me that after all this problem, the National Security Minister doesn't know the real people behind Galamsey? We are a joke. He should resign. If you want to deal with the matter, go and deal with the matter. You know the people behind it. Summon them. You are sending the people there. You know that this company you are sending is not big enough. It's not even a full company from the education we've just even received. Mm-hmm. So if you know that there's a forest reserve side and then there's a water body side, and you're not dealing with only one water body. Our army people, they are not at war. They are not fighting anything anywhere. This is the only war this country has. Why are you not deploying more than one company? Move some people to go and deal with forest reserve. Move some people to deal with this river. Deal with another river. So quickly we get our people out of the place. Because what he said is true. The military itself is even getting compromised over time when they stay long in these areas.
Yeah, so let the police do.
So
This is police.
You know, my brother, you can send in the military to go and give the oomph for a start. That's why you take them in. It's a tactical move. They go, they clear up the place, they move, the police go back and start reorganizing things. But the whole structure is weak because the people behind this Galamsey business are significantly in bed with the politicians and our politicians themselves.
Exactly.
Look, it is a state capture problem for a president as powerful as Nana not having the guts to really actually take the right responsibility. That tells you the state has been captured. Joe, we are on our own. We are on our own on this. If we want to fix this, every Ghanaian must start getting up. You can't wait for anybody to fight for you. When there's the opportunity to show your fight and your anger, you must do it. That is the only language our politicians will hear. We have to fight for our country. We have to fight for our children and our children's children. This joke can't continue. It must stop. That's why organized labor. You should start thinking. You have been fooled. You have been made a joke. All the things that they promise you and all the steps they are taking, it's not going to take you anywhere. Did you listen to Kanaba Wabuaji? Where is the policy strategy for this? Are you telling me that it should take us up to now for us to shout for the government with all the resources it has to start thinking about it? You want to tell us that we don't have a mapping of where Galamsey sites are? We don't know the people involved and that these same people are controlling political parties? Mr. President, you either want to do it or not, but this will be your legacy. You came into town with Calipo and you are going destroying our water bodies and you are leaving us with brown poisonous water. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh. 42, 80 minutes. Please. Thank you. You're also live here on Key Point, also on 3FM 92.7 and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. Now, this morning, I'm clothed by Kogra Clothing, the best version of you. Locate them on the Spintex Road, 18 Junction, opposite Allied Oil Filling Station. Ground floor, same building where the Ghana Made store. Contact Kogra Clothing on 0244 238 341. 0244 238 341. Choose Kogra Clothing. Choose right. I'm going to go for this quick break. When I come back, you have your take and then as well. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
All be lie.
Thank you, boss. See you next week. Yo, where is my passport? Where is my passport? Yo, man, I want to Waba.
Whoops, I'm
and then special.
Give me my passport. You made me pay for express for 24 hours and yet it's not in.
You told me that you are telling me this.
What's going on? Hello.
This man here has taken my money. That within 24 hours, he'll do my passport for me.
Oh, see, that's the same thing applies to me. He told me last night, he's telling me this week.
Process. That's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, madam. Please relax. I'll get for you in 24 hours.
Hey, Goroma. So you never change? Eh? You get passport for someone within 24 hours, Madam Obwa. See, the normal working hours is 9 to 5. Eh? Not 24 hours, yeah, I'm fat. You guys have made a very big mistake by trusting these people. Now, through digitalization, passport application has been made so easy. Now, you don't need to stress yourself and join any long queue for your passport. All you have to do is to log on to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website and begin your application. By buying a passport application voucher online. Simple and easy. And very soon, all you need to get your passport will be your Ghana card.
What is it true?
Yeah, Obisa. It is possible.
Esuro. Boot number 1 on the ballot.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere.
8K. Hey, you can get an 8K. Get a package when you have to one line. Hey, wait.
You can put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck.
Hey,
Bill Radio. We star 712. It's much more phone. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And I'm with me at home ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let's choose buy tickets for others.
Love you, boo boo.
No, maybe straight to option 4. Now, you need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
Hey,
there, tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts and confirm. Now, the luckiest The Luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled. But over here, we do more than just talk. We resolve problems. We hold those in power accountable. We address all the key happenings in society, from politics to health to education to everything you deem important. And we will center the voice of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is the show that sets the agenda.
Agenda shows Mondays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Drug abuse does not only affect the individual, but also has far-reaching implications on public health. From morbidities to mortalities to increased crime rates and even strain on our healthcare systems, the repercussions are staggering.
Globally, more than 11.8 million deaths are recorded each year as a result of drug misuse. From drug addiction to self-medication, the causes are numerous.
That is why you need to join us on Ask Your Pharmacist as we serve you a buffet of expert advice on your health and personalized care with some doses of healthy living tips from our experienced pharmacists and other healthcare professionals.
So tune in to your award-winning health show, Ask Your Pharmacist, your prescription for a healthier lifestyle, every week right here on the station.
My name is Farm Nellin Ofori.
My name is Farm Dr. Yaum Fuafu.
And I am Queen Na Ayeli. Together, we bring you the season 4 of your favorite health show, Ask Your Pharmacist.
Ask Your Pharmacist Season 4 is proudly brought to you by Dragnet, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, in partnership with the Ministry of Health and supported by
Ask Your Pharmacist shows Sunday at 1:30 p.m. on TV3.
People should stop the stigma. Look at us here. What shows that I'm a breast cancer survivor?
Breast cancer is real. Many women are dying or getting infected with breast cancer.
I only touched the breast to see what was giving me pain. When the pain persisted, then I realized there was an unusual lump in there.
When you find a painful lump, it's highly possible that you'll be dealing with an infection, and that's what most doctors tend to treat. But how do you feel about galamsey? Now, you're a jeweler. I can imagine how that might be affecting your business.
We get the gold, all right, but the question is, how are they mining the gold?
Listen, my balls are finished. You can go back for your balls.
The Day Show, Sundays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. On
Welcome back to Key Point. And Colonel Festus Obaje will make a point in 1 minute, and then I'll come back to you. Colonel Festus Obaje, before you leave us, a quick one.
Thank you. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the second but last speaker who spoke, but I don't think we can emphatically say that the officer doesn't believe in what he was saying. The issue might be this. We need to note carefully that the government did not heed the call for a state of emergency. Because per Article 31, I think the lawyers can best explain the procedures. But basically, a state of emergency declaration per Article 31 allows greater oversight and accountability on the part of Parliament. I suspect that the government has used the executive instrument, approach. So we don't know what kinds of communications, correspondences, have gone from the presidency to the ministry to the general headquarters. Now, a senior military officer like the colonel would have a piece of paper written in military language that starts with what we call the situation. Now, that situation is largely the text of what has come from the political authorities, painting a picture as to the scale of Galamsey, the impact, the this, the that, the that, and then using that to underscore the need for action, and thereby directing the armed forces to do A, B, C, D. So the military will then derive what we call the mission. And I think the first item in that government paper, item 1, was for the additional military personnel to go and curb Galamsey. The military will frame the mission around this operative word, to curb. And then they will deduce whatever we call the execution paragraph is, how the military is going to be able to implement the government directive. So some of the things that the gentleman said, maybe 1 week, maybe 2, is meaning that the government didn't tell them, the timelines. So he's thinking that, okay, we'll come here, maybe we'll be here for 1 week. But he was very emphatic that there are 2 phases. Phase 1 will be the water bodies. Phase 2 will be the forest reserves. So it suggests that the directives from government to the armed forces was not complete, that there were gaps. And the military has just deployed, for instance, 100. Now, if you interpret the meaning of the word to curb, Galamsey, which is taking place from the north to the west to the center and slightly to the east, how can 100 men, less than one company, curb Galamsey of that scale? So it comes down to the idea that I think Ifo Osi Senyo has said. The government is not serious about this fighting Galamsey. And it's just buying time within the next 2 months before elections to pretend that it is doing something without necessarily dealing with, the threat of the menace. But I must emphasize once again that Galamsey is an existential threat to Ghana. It's not necessarily like people coming to invade, but the resource of Ghana, apart from the environment, is the human beings. Now, the human beings fall ill, with all manner of congenital diseases that are passed on from one generation to the other. With the economy in this state, how are people even going to be able to, look after themselves? The cost of health is going to, shoot up. Meanwhile, the money is not here. The money is sitting in foreign accounts and so on. So, like all the colleagues in the House are saying, the government must be emphatic, be very decisive, and convince Ghanaians that it means business about fighting Galamsey. What I have seen so far, not the numbers of the armed forces, but the absence of other stakeholders in the fight, shows that the government, is just going through the motions. I think that's all I can say for now.
Kenal, I do appreciate your thoughts and expert analysis on this matter. And you see, this threat we're faced with you keep making reference to Harrison, because this is your area, the fact that we are drinking water that we think is clean, but we are exposed to all of these heavy metals. In 2 minutes, so I'll go to Dafian for a last word on this matter, then we're done.
So, thank you. When you mine with the methods that we are using, you release these things we call heavy metals. It includes lead, mercury, arsenic, cobalt, chromium, many of them into the system. Now, these metals, when they find their ways into food, because the crops take them up, and in the water that we drink. So merely sedimenting the water doesn't rid it of these metals. Now, when you take these metals, they accumulate in your body. The body has no direct means of getting rid of them. So as you continue to drink water, eat food that is contaminated with these metals, you continue to build up within your system. Now, these metals bind proteins and nucleic acid that are the foundation upon which life is built. And when they bind to these proteins and nucleic acid, two things happen. They inhibit the function of these proteins. And these proteins carry instructions that allows you to sleep and wake and all that. So if, for example, what they call a transcription factor, which is an instruction that says make protein A to go and do C, if it binds and inhibits it, then that action doesn't take place. So the instruction to say when a fetus is developing, grow a limb by, say, sending a microRNA to regulate a particular gene, if it's bound by any of these metals and it's not able to fold the way it has to fold and bind where it has to regulate whatever activity, then that limb doesn't get formed. And so the baby will be born because other activities are going on, and so the baby will be born with no limb. Or because of overexpression of a particular gene, now instead of forming one limb, you form four. So the danger with these metals is that they are indiscriminate in terms of how they bind to these macromolecular entities within the living systems. And that is how they are able to exert their toxicity.
I don't understand the science language, but all I know is that we are faced with an existential threat. Babies are born with deformities. That's it. Yes. 2 minutes, I beg you.
2 minutes will not be enough. Look,
please. That's the time I have.
Okay, I have been making the point, and that is the state has already spent nearly $1 billion on a supposed anti-galamsey programs. We should be asking for accountability. In all this, it's included deployment of soldiers. So if organized labor, leadership of organized labor is asking government to again deploy soldiers, it's as if, like the accounts will say, we are in Nkrani and trying to titin Nkrani.
Okay.
We are standing in the midst of driver ants and are seeking to fight it. It won't work. The approach must be different. Because deployment of soldiers and giving it high-sounding falutin names, Galamstop, Operation Vanguard, Galamstop number 2, a 64-member interministerial committee, have they been able to provide anything? No solution. Look, this government, part of the problem why we have indiscriminate degradation of the green environment, so that, for instance, beneath school buildings are under attack, football fields of schools are under attack, buildings of farms, people's plantain farms are under attack, is because this government has gone out of its way to buy what they call gold catcher. Right. What the gold catcher machine does is that it determines where there's high ore-bearing gold. So when they tell you that in this studio, this building, there's a high ore-bearing gold sitting beneath this building, the gold catchers, they will come. That is why buildings of people, human beings in communities now are being invaded and pulled down because the gold catcher is telling them that there's a high ore-bearing gold sitting beneath the building. So the contribution of the government to the menace is so profound.
Thank you. It's the Member of Parliament for the South Eye constituency. A number of your messages asking that we should have the fire service come in to tame Senor Jose and Martin Kwebu. You said they are unhinged. And these are the kinds of Ghanaians that we says need. And a number of you also talking about Dr. Harrison is the General Secretary of the University of Ghana, UTAG. And so you're going to be hearing more of him on this platform. But those last words were very important indeed, and I do appreciate you coming. And Dr. Jamal Tonzua is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School, the former legal advisor to Operation Vanguard. A number of your comments as well directed to him, that he knows his stuff indeed, and that's why we brought him here. And Senor Jose committed to the cause every step of the way. And this one here,
we are eating tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow today. How reckless can we be? We need evidence-based, data-backed approaches.
Lawyer Martin Kwebu,
ad hoc.
I appreciate you
unintelligible
for the patience. Thank you. And there are a number of people who joined us as well. Kenneth Fesosabwaje, and then also
erratic.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. We are done. Thank you. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for staying with us on Key Point. And congratulations to Dennis Boaberi-Wedam for being called to the bar as well yesterday, and to all the new lawyers as well. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Thank you.